What is up, podcast fans? Welcome back to the show. Tonight's episode, fellow Greater Vancouver realtor Eli King. The reason I really like this guy is he is a grinder. He's working his tail off. He is about 3 years into this real estate industry and crushing it. We had a great conversation. Enjoy. Okay, so you want to do more. Why aren't you doing more? What's holding you back from doing more?
I can't really do much more.
Why? You can. You can do 1,000 times more.
Yeah, there's always something more you can do. But
do you think I'm doing more content than you, or you're doing?
Oh no,
more
you're
than
doing
me?
way more than I am.
And I think I suck at content.
Yeah,
I think I'm doing shit.
Yeah.
I'm doing the bare minimum to get by. That's what I think in my head.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So why can't you do any more?
Well, I would say just like from where you are in your real estate business and career to where I am, I'm still in the infancy phase.
Disagree. Go. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
So, we're just in a growth stage where focusing on we brought in a couple people onto our team. We're hiring a full-time assistant in the next week here. So I would say I'm doing a lot of the monotonous kind of tasks and that I shouldn't be doing anymore. So I'm trying to really grow that part of the business where I'll be able to free up more time, right? And then, personal life, as you're aware, I got a wife and 2 kids, right? So I feel like I'm always working. So I have to invest in these other areas that will propel my business, which will free time to do the things you're talking about from like a content point of view, right?
So this is the fun part, is the growth stage is the most fun to share. Mm-hmm. And that's where I still feel like we are. I always think about my life in like a 100-step ladder. And I think right now I'm on step 3. Maybe in the last 6 months I got to step 4, but I'm not totally sure yet. So let's say 3.5.
So are we talking just real estate? Or are we talking life?
Life.
Yeah.
The first 25 years of my life basically were 0.5 of a step. Mm-hmm. You're like a little child, right?
Yeah.
You're still trying to figure shit out. You literally don't know anything. And then something happens when you're like mid-20s. For me, it was mid-20s. I don't know if it's
it could be
normal,
different for everybody. Yeah.
Totally. Something happens and you're like, oh, shit, I'm in charge. I get to figure shit out on my own. I get to ask questions. I get to tell people they're wrong or like disagree with people and then learn what is actually the right way to do something or just keep going, right? Mm-hmm. And so then like the last 5 or 6 years of my life, I feel has been like a few steps. And it seems like they're happening quicker and quicker, which is cool. But the growth part is the funnest. And if I look back on my now almost 8-year real estate career, I wish I learned how to be myself in video and do more video earlier in my career. Mm-hmm. And so when you say we're in the growth stage, we're not ready for that yet, I think this is the best time for that. Mm-hmm. To share, right? To share all that stuff. To share what you're learning on a daily basis. To share the challenges of going from you and Josh to adding an assistant, to adding a person that's helping you with media, to like whatever. It's in the industry, there's so many people that are just terrified to take the next step, to go from one individual doing 15 transactions a year.
I agree with that for sure, yeah.
How do I get to the next level? And then they look at like maybe teams like ours, like Ty Corsi, like other guys in Vancouver that are doing a lot of transactions, and they think there's just way too big a gap between me and those guys. Mm-hmm.
It's not as big as you think.
It's not as big as you think.
And it's something like personally I struggle with would be probably thinking I need to do it all kind of thing too. It's not an ego thing. It's more I have a certain expectation, right? And you come off that way in our conversations, and from every buyer, seller, right, that we work with, I expect something to be done the right way, right? So if it doesn't meet that, that's where, I would struggle with, right? So having that trust in somebody else, right? And, I'm getting there.
The cool part about that though, and what I've adopted this thought process in my head is, if someone on my team treats a client the poorly or doesn't give the same quality of service or misses something in a contract, whose fault is it? Is it their fault?
No, it'd probably be your fault.
It's my fault.
Yeah.
It's 100% my fault.
Mm-hmm.
They're on our team. I'm training them.
You're leading the
I'm
ship,
helping them.
Yeah.
If you take responsibility, it almost like retrains your mind to be like, oh, this is interesting. I can help them. I can help that person go from a 5 out of 10 realtor to a 8 out of 10 realtor just by sharing all the knowledge. Like,
of course.
You're 3 years in?
I just finished 3. Yes, I'm into 4 now.
I'll say on the record, Eli's fucking crushing it for 3 years in.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Dude, it's really fun to watch, man. It's a lot of the old school people in our industry are very insecure about young people coming in and doing well and doing things on social media. There's a lot of negativity around young people who are trying compared to the old people that have been in the industry for 40 years versus like, I'm pumped to see young people do. It's unbelievable how much opportunity there is in our industry. And if someone, I could name a few in Port Moody right now that we have a little bit of beef with, Carl. Monica specifically. But it's unbelievable how insecure they are. It's unbelievable. They think if we get one listing in Port Moody, they need to just trash our name. That's the way they're going to get more business. Like, that's what they think.
Yeah,
it's
I
shocking.
definitely don't agree with that philosophy. You know, if you have to, put others down to make yourself look better, what does that say about you, right?
It's the ultimate insecurity,
so when I talk
man.
to for example, if I'm meet a buyer, we could be competing in the same listing, for example, whatever. Like, I'm never going to trash, anybody really.
Yeah.
But like, I'll talk, like a team like you guys, like let's say I get a buyer, for example, and, it's a lead that comes in. They may say they have an agent, right? And there was a guy that was specifically I was talking to probably about a month ago. And it was in not that client relationship, but we had some conversations getting to the point of potentially advisement. We're going to meet and start looking at property kind of stage, right? And then long story short, tells me that his wife found somebody else that they were going to work with, right? So I was like, oh, if you don't mind me asking, who is it, right? And then I Google and like, not even close to the same level. Like, I don't know this person. I don't want to judge them, right? But if it was a team like you guys, like that's why I said to him, actually, that was one of my pitches to try and, maybe kind of close the deal, so to speak, right? And getting them to be on, potentially working with me, right? Is I was like, oh, if you would have mentioned a team like, Denny Dumas or, an agent like Ty Corsi or, one of these like really professional, and it could be a young guy coming in too, whatever, but somebody that knows what they're doing, especially in this market too, as we know, right? Because we're seeing lots of people struggle from the buy point of view because they're not getting the right advice. And you have to be so adaptable in this, current market that if you're literally a week too late or 2 weeks, it's going to make a huge difference, right? So you have to, I'm advising clients to, there was one, I was kind of proud to say like, because, when I got in, it was a little bit slower and then it progressed. And then from like August 2019, it was kind of the bottom of the market and then just keep propelling, forward. So I was proud to say that I had never lost more than twice in any multiple offer scenario. So anyways, this young couple.
Hold on, say that one more time.
So I never, as a buyer's agent, I never lost more than twice in any multiple, 2 in a row with any client ever, right? So I took.
To me, that means you're not rating enough offers.
Yeah.
Dude, there was a month. There was a month in
okay.
2017, April 2017. I was 1 for 23. And it's not because, so you have to understand as a consumer in Greater Vancouver, our job as realtors is not to tell you what to do.
Of course.
That's not our job. Our job is to educate you on what it means to buy this property and what it's going to take to buy the property. Property's listed at $999. The last one sold for $1,207, let's say.
Sure.
And we say, market's increasing. There's going to be 14 offers on this property. It's listed at $999.
It's not 127 anymore.
It's probably, I said 1207. So
sorry,
like, it's probably going to beat the last sale.
Yeah.
So in order to be competitive, you have to be above 1.2 likely. What would you like to do? And they say 113. Be like, It's not a bad offer. It's 130K over asking. You're putting a deposit down. No subjects. It's not a bad offer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what happens. But I'd say our chances are low. Mm-hmm. We're rating the offer anyway. We're not saying fuck you. We're not we're not helping you out anymore.
I would always write the offer, but I think it's the point I'm trying to make is like the correct advisement, right? So adjusting your clients accordingly. So this, young couple I had, 8-month-old daughter, we're looking at townhomes in Maple Ridge, Abbotsford. Budget, they want to stay below 7 ideally, but we can go into those low 7s. So we wrote townhouse in Abbotsford. It was an N unit, 1,500 square feet, 1,550, I think. 3 in den, 3 years old. I can't remember if I did mention N unit, right? So I think we bid 710, sold for 740. Okay, well, that was a new high in the market for that area. They had to be aware of that. So can we go to the next one next week and do the same thing? No, right? So we adjust. And the next one we wrote, I don't know if you were involved in that Hatchie one. I don't know if you saw that one. That was a crazy sale, Hatchie in Millardville.
Okay.
That was listed for 630. And I know how you like realtors don't allow showings after a certain point. Well, that was that situation where I actually had to call her and say, hey, like...
It's not that... Let me set the record straight. It's not that I don't like you.
No,
I think you're really poor at your job.
Yeah, exactly. Right? That's why...
I say this all the time.
Yeah.
If you're a realtor and you're fucking consumers weekly, you're in the wrong profession.
Yeah.
Your job is not to fuck consumers.
Yeah.
And so many realtors right now are screwing consumers out of tens of thousands, if not $100,000 on sales.
Well, she didn't want to get me in for the day I requested in time. And then she provided 2 other options and I agreed to one of those options. And then she said it wasn't available. And I got back to her within a few minutes kind of thing. It wasn't like it was the next day. And I said, what has changed? Right? I said, are you telling me that my potential cash buyer, very qualified buyer that wants to potentially put an offer? And that's when she's like, okay, I'll make it happen kind of thing. It's like, you got to make it happen. That's your job, right? But anyway,
realtors, this is a lesson from Eli King and Denny Dumas. Accommodate.
You have to find a way.
That should be the first thought
solution
in your head. No, if you take on one listing a year, the only thought process you should have is accommodate. That's it. Yeah. Get everyone in the door. If you suck at multiple offers, you should reach out to Eli King, Denny Dumas, someone else that does multiple offers very well to get some advice on how to deal with them. But while you're running the listing, get people in the door.
As many as possible.
Consumers,
it's their job.
Buyers are writing offers and spending money to purchase your listing's property, right? If you cut 60% of them out, guess what? You sell for less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's setting the table correctly with your seller too and saying, okay, if you want to list at this price, this is the low end, expect basically a gong show. Like it's going to be like 100, 150 people might come in. I don't know. Like it could be insane. Go away to Whistler for 4 days, right? I don't know, find a solution, right? And then, if you go to the mid kind of area where you still should get multiples, okay, maybe you'll be a little less busy, let's say 20 or something, right? Whatever the scenario is. And if you list at fair market value, then, I don't know, maybe still 20, but maybe less offers or it's going to go around fair market value, right?
This might be the greatest podcast of all time for new realtors. Based on these first 10 minutes alone. Yeah. Expectation early. Setting the expectation early. This is so important. I really believe in setting
the table for your buyer and your seller, always.
When you go into any listing, usually, if it's a single family home, usually I'm giving a $200,000 gap. Mm-hmm. If you're going into a condo, maybe it's like a $50,000 to $100,000 gap, but you're giving expectation, saying, here's the last few sales in your neighborhood. These are what you look better than. These are what maybe show a little bit better than your home. Based on these numbers, I think the low number that's going to almost guarantee multiple offers is going to be 1.199. Let's say right under $1.2 million. At this number, expect to have a shit ton of showings. We're going to be really busy and we'll probably see anywhere from like 3 to 15 offers depending on the week. If you're listing in November, December, it might be a little bit quieter. If you're listing in April, May, June, when a shit ton of buyers are out, it might be really, really, really busy. 1.2 low end. High 1.2s. We're probably pretty close to market value at that point. Depends on the week. If we're waiting 6 months or 3 months from now, might change. But today, if we're listing at 1.3, 1.299, this is what I'd expect. I'd expect it to be a little bit slower. Still a pretty good chance of getting multiple offers because we're slightly lower than the last few sales that we compete against, and the inventory is very low, versus high end. Like there's a few different options, right? It's never just like your home is worth 1.27. If someone says that to you and you're a consumer right now and you're thinking about selling your home, walk the other way really, really quickly. Because there's no such thing as like a pinpointed number. No, and if someone shows you a bunch of stats and a computer algorithm that comes up with your home's value, that means they're so poor at what they're doing, they have to plug sales into a computer algorithm. What happened to Zillow last week?
And I'm like I'm a data guy, as you probably know. And,
I know you are.
And that interests me, but I know that's not realistic either, right? You know, so
that's not how buyers work, right?
No.
It's important to understand that residential real estate is such an emotional purchase, right? It's a lot of, especially who we help.
The buyer could have lost 5 times, and the 6th time they ain't not losing. I don't know. Like
it's a lot of young families that get a very emotional tie to the property that they're living in, whether it's the neighborhood, the house, the curb appeal, the bedroom situation, the backyard, whatever it is. They get emotionally attached to something, and the sales say it's worth 125. There's 9 offers. They're going to be okay spending 1.3, 1.32, 1.33, 1.35 because they're so interested in being in that neighborhood that they don't care if they spend an extra 50 grand because they're going to be there for 15 or 20 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I told a buyer that the other day where it's one of those situations where I actually wasn't prepared, and I tried to be prepared. It was one of kind of the 12th hour. They said, I hadn't even met them in person yet because I'm doing quite a bit of online leads, right? So built some good rapport over a couple of days, you know, some conversations. You know, I tried to do like at least a Zoom and, you know, presentation and stuff like that. Didn't even get to that point. And they wanted to write on this Maple Ridge townhome and didn't even look at it. Right, wrote on it, but they decided like 4 p.m. and the offer had to be like 5. I'm not even at my computer, right? So I called Josh. I'm like, hey, you got to write this up, kind of thing. So we wrote above asking, and then when I went from my computer, did a little more research, I realized I was like, I think they're overpaying a little bit, right? So I called them back and said we're up against another offer, but we wrote with subjects, not cash. So I said, hey, just FYI, I just want to be completely transparent. Had a little more time to research my initial assessment. I think you might be 10 to 25 grand high, you know, from today's market value. I might have been a little.
What was the purchase price on this?
A little bit wrong. It was listed at 790, and we wrote 815. So they had a collapse offer, and basically I just didn't have enough time to like kind of analyze it, right? And you know, there's not much product, like 3 weeks of inventory in Maple Ridge, and I tried to compare to new construction. New construction in that neighborhood's going for like $790 now, plus the GST. This was like 11 years old. It was 200 square feet larger. So I was like, I think like low 8s sounds about right. But then I thought it was actually closer to the list price. And so I want to be transparent, and I didn't want to go to sleep and say like, oh, I really maybe screwed these people. But anyways, the point is that when I came clean and truthful and said, I think we're overpaying, their response was, well, we plan to live there for potentially 20 years and we don't care. That was their response. But anyways, we went and looked at it the other day or the next day, and they didn't actually like it. So, you know, we were able to get kind of out of it kind of thing. But, you know, I felt bad, you know. Part of it was, I just didn't have the time to prepare accordingly, right? It was kind of more shooting from the hip, right? But I don't know where we're going with all that, but
I'll step in.
Yeah.
I have minimum 3 stories based on what you just said. So one is always admit when you adjust your mindset.
Or you're
if it's
wrong.
An evaluation.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got to have some humility, right? You know, like you're not going to be perfect every single time, right? And
I also like to think that having so many experiences in the industry, I never make a statement that I'm so sold to
absolutely.
that I have to admit that I'm wrong. Like, I'm never that sure about something. Which is interesting to say, but like, it's never a number, right? Like something lists at 2.7 million in Queen's Park. It's this phenomenally renovated character home. You're guessing the value, right? Mm-hmm. The last one sold 2.5. This is 400 square feet bigger. It's on a better street.
Queen's Park is
on
a bigger guess. You know, I don't have a lot of experience there.
Totally.
You would have way more than I do, right? But you know.
So it's a range, right? It's a range. It listed at 2.7. It's an interesting one. Like they've done a lot of renos. They say it's worth $400,000 reno.
Yeah.
I think it's slightly cheaper. Another consumer walks through and thinks the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah.
What is it actually worth?
What a buyer will pay, I guess.
It's a range, right?
Yeah.
It's a range.
Yeah.
So it's never like a number that I'm saying, sorry, I fucked up. I was wrong. It's more just like, I've reconsidered. I've looked at other things and my thought process has adjusted slightly. And this is the new. So as a realtor, as any salesperson, like be okay explaining yourself if your thought process has changed. That was my one comment. Second comment was, so you said you thought you were 10 to 25,000
yeah.
10 to 25.
Yeah, 10 to 25 range.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Like real estate is such a crazy world that $10,000 is
much.
literally like a penny.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's a lot of money when you're paying cash. On a mortgage payment, $10,000 is 30 to 40 bucks a month roughly. So it's pretty small. And coming back to my first point is there's no pinpointed answer. There's no algorithm that says the property is worth $787,319.27, right? There's no algorithm. So if you're within $10,000, it's almost like, do you bring it up or not? Because you can't be guaranteed. Like if you're in multiples and you say, hey, it's listed at $799, there's 3 offers. The last sale was high 7s, but that was a few months ago and the market's improved quite a bit. What has the market improved? I mean, like I can give you a generic stat of the neighborhood that it's improved 5%. Does that mean you should bid 5% more than the list price? Not necessarily.
Yeah, of course.
But so the $10,000 thing.
Well, you gotta be adaptable. I think that's kind of what you're talking about too. Is doesn't mean it's exactly that. It could be adjustable or depends on the product, the neighborhood.
Don't be
the
married,
market in that
don't
neighborhood.
be married to your first thought. Maybe
exactly.
is a good point.
Yeah.
Of like you can look at one thing. Like here's a great example. Me and Monica have a listing that's coming up in New West next week. We originally evaluated it at X. This was 3 weeks ago. On the street, there was a sale 2 weeks ago, a week after we met these people, that evaluated it at X plus, let's say, 8%. So we called the seller being like, hey, this property is slightly less than yours based on square footage of the property. The house was a little bit smaller, pretty similar age and condition, but we probably can list a little bit higher. They're pumped. 3 nights ago, another house sold in their neighborhood that, let's say we thought was pretty much even. It was a slightly nicer house, slightly bigger house on a busier street. So we say, well, now we're thinking X plus 15%. They're like, are you sure? But the point of this story is like, don't stay married to those ideas. Every single day it can change with a new sale. And in moving markets like this, it's so important to be so on top of those listings, right? Like if we listed at the original number, maybe it works out fine. Maybe we get 14 offers and maybe it sells at the number that it should. Versus if we list more in line with market value, maybe we get a slightly better price. And it's not like we're listing high based on the last couple sales. It's just it's a very different number than we were thinking three or 4 weeks ago. The point of the story is just like, be okay. Whenever you have listings coming up, be extremely involved in activity and what is happening. If product is coming up and selling, you need to reach out to those agents immediately and understand what they're selling for.
Too is
how many offers they got.
Yeah.
What was that activity like? Did you have 4 showings and got 3 offers, or did you have 65 showings and got 12 offers? Like that's a very different experience.
Well, I think on either end too, right? So when I'm, kind of multiple offer Monday or Tuesdays these days, right? I want to know, for example, there was a Walnut Grove condo I helped some first-time buyers buy, a couple weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I think they was having the offers on the Tuesday, if I remember, but there was other similar product on Monday that went to multiple offers, right? I wanted to know like those prices, right? Okay, how many offers do you get? How many showings do you have, right? Are you firm, right? So that's live data. It's as close as you can get, right? So and actually, speaking of like, and I've heard you speak about this before, but I won from a letter. That's how we won. It was a multiple offer of like I want to say 6. Listed at $395, entry level, kind of 1 bedroom. I don't know if you know the building. It's a Marcon build in Walnut Grove, right by the movie theater, kind of there, and the Oak and Thorn. But like 13-year-old condo.
The Grove.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Yeah, the Grove. So you know the building. So
thank you.
So it's a good product. A lot of investors in there. I think you've sold in there. I saw you've sold one.
We sold one in there earlier this year.
5-6 months ago, maybe. I think I saw you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
April, maybe?
Yeah.
April, May, something
I
like
think
that.
so, yeah. So I know that building pretty well. Then it was listed at $395. After I do all my research, they want to go in at like $415. I said, no, that's just not going to work. And we're going in cash. So I know we're going to be strong in that regard. So we eventually get to $432 is the number we're going to go in with. And deposit in hand, letter, get the call back. And the guy says, listing realtor says, super nice guy. And he says, you're not the highest offer, but you win. So I'm like, sweet. So he says, it wasn't that much of a difference. And who knows? Like, we don't know the other party. They were cash too, but maybe they're just an investor. So, I get it. From that point of view, you're either going to lie to somebody or just put in your offer, right? But with this couple, they were a young couple buying their first place, and the letter did it. So I'm guessing maybe the other offer was $435. Wasn't that far off, but
you know what I think about that guy? Whoever that realtor was, I think he fucked up. I think he lost his seller a lot of money.
Well, he could have gone for another round for sure. Yeah.
What do you think about, in one word?
But it's also not, the seller, that's what he kind of voiced. The
okay,
seller
but this
wanted to go in that
this
direction.
is what a lot of realtors deflect back on, right? They say, I'm just taking direction from the seller.
Yeah.
Guess what, bro? You are getting paid $25,000.
Fair enough. Yeah.
To educate this person on how this transaction is going to go.
You are the professional in the room. You should be at least.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not... The best course of action is not to present seller with letters, make them start crying because this young family is so sad that they missed out. Yeah. Guess what? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Your job is to make them money. If they want to forego money, that's up to them.
Yeah.
That's totally up to them.
Yeah.
But your job is to not let their emotion get in the way of selling their home. Mm-hmm. So my thought process as a listing agent is all that information is shared. Here's the letters that they presented to you, whatever. Let me go to work and I will get back to you in 1 hour.
Yeah.
Right? It's not fall in love with this family and be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Their grandma just died. Oh my God. Like, how do we even know that's real?
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah.
It's true.
Because it is a commodity, right? It is people's home, right? It's different than something else from an asset point of view, but it's emotional, as we know, real estate, right? But
that's what
it's
realtors
also a
need to
commodity.
understand, though. Realtors need to understand that
product you're trying to sell.
Most sellers are emotional. Most being like 95%. Mm-hmm. Most are emotional. This is a very emotional sale. They haven't sold something in 15, 20 years. They raised their family there, whatever it may be. It's emotional. We need to understand this, and we need to adjust the way we present information to them so that they can make good decisions, right? Yeah. Not emotional decisions.
Of course, yeah. Well,
if that guy called you back and was
logic,
like, hey, my seller really wants to work with you. We have a higher offer. Mm-hmm. We'll do the deal with you at $447. Mm-hmm. What's your person going to say?
Get back to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the worst they're going to say is, maybe not.
Yeah.
It's a bit high for us. We could do like 440.
Yeah.
You got an 8?
You just made them more. Yeah.
So whoever this guy is, give me his phone number. I just made him $8,000.
Yeah. No, I see your point of view. That is our job, right? Is to get the highest price.
It's not a point of view. This is our fucking job.
No. Yeah.
This is why people pay us a shit ton of money, right? It's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. On a $4,000, let's say a $450,000 condo, the listing agent is making $12,000. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of money. Make a phone call. Takes 30 seconds.
Well, I saw a sale in there today. It was a ground level unit, not a second floor unit, but it was $450 something. I don't know. It was like close to 15, 20 grand more than they paid. Maybe it's a better unit, but same floor plan.
Let me ask you this. I'm still stuck on this point.
It's 2 weeks ago.
You can tell.
Yeah.
How many times has it happened when you've written an offer for a buyer, the agent ghosts you, doesn't answer your texts?
Yeah, it's rough.
Either texts or calls you back in a couple hours saying, thanks for your offer, property sold, X number, whatever. Let's say 850,000. And you're like, we were 835, bro. If you called me, we would have easily beat that. How many times has that happened to you in the last 12 months? Because me,
at least half a dozen.
85.
Yeah. 85 times?
Dude, it happens
you
multiple
write
times
a
a
lot
week.
more offers than I do. I don't know. I was going to say half a dozen, 10, 15, maybe. I don't know. It's in the last few weeks. Yeah, and just the last few weeks, probably at least a few times.
How frustrating is that? How frustrating is that for the consumer?
Yeah.
To go into a situation where they have no idea what they're up against, right? They're rating on something at $799. They're rating $870. And they're losing by 10 grand. And they were like, well, we would have gone way higher than that.
So what are your thoughts about like open bidding?
My thoughts
I'm definitely not for this cooling off period thing that they're trying to propose.
Here we go.
But the open bidding, something they do in, let's say, Australia or something like that. Like, what are your thoughts on something like that? You know, where it's basically on the street or I don't know, Zoom or whatever. It doesn't really matter where location is, but basically it's completely open, transparent, and
I have a lot of thoughts.
Sure.
First one is, who is the government trying to protect? If it's consumers, open bidding and cooling off period are very bad ideas. If it is their image, just by throwing something out there to show that they're trying, maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not. It might come back to bite them in the ass. Because I think cooling off period is going to hurt sellers in a lot of situations. And it's also going to increase prices because people are going to feel less pressure to actually go through with the contract, right? Like if you call someone and be like, hey, you know, we're in second place. He said we're, you know, pretty close. I asked him if it's 10 grand. He said it's a little bit more than that. So maybe it's like 15-ish. What do you think?
Let's just go 25 just in case.
If there's a 7-day period where they can do whatever the fuck they want and not go through with the purchase, they're going to be like, yeah, give them 50. Yeah. Whatever. Right? And then
think about
a competent realtor is going to call the other group back and be like, someone just beat you. Now you got to come up. What are you going to do? That consumer is going to be like, well, I have 7 days to do whatever the fuck I want. Give them another 100.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Give them 27 million for this condo. I got 7 days to decide if I want to do this or not.
Yeah.
I'll decide.
No, I see your point.
It's a really, really bad idea. This is one of the worst I've heard.
Yeah, it's actually,
the foreign buyer tax is what it is. It's trying to protect Canadians. In terms of the federal government, it looks really good to voters who are, let's say, uneducated in terms of what real estate is actually doing.
Smoke screen and, you know, just to...
It's just funny because like the media makes it out to seem like 10% of homes are being purchased by foreign owners when it's really like 0.001%. It's like a shockingly low number.
Like in the last year and a half, can you say it's all foreign buyers?
In the last year and a half, I think I've seen one.
Yeah, I haven't met any.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I think I've done one transaction with someone who is not a citizen or a resident of Canada in the last
I had
2 years.
one call about 3 weeks ago from a Hong Kong buyer recently just landed. I don't even call that foreign necessarily. They might be a Canadian citizen. Yeah. As we know, they got a situation over there, right? So I don't know. I don't meet them. I don't know where they are. I'm not saying they don't exist, but I don't know. I haven't represented any of them. Like, you know, the last year and a half has just been local activity and the main, you know, cause, I guess. Well, there's many causes, but, you know, the supply is clearly one of them, as we know. There's not enough supply.
The problem is
suppressed interest rates.
The problem is they're trying to throw solutions out there that are literally going to either have no effect or hurt real estate values, meaning prices are going to go up. This open auction bidding thing is hilariously bad news, right? Remember what the question I just asked you. How many offers have you been involved in on the buy side in the last year or whatever, where if your buyer knew what the price was, they would go above that? And you said at least a dozen.
Yeah.
And I said, let's say slightly exaggerating 85, but in real life, at least 50. maybe more. It's probably 2 a week, where our clients would offer more if they actually knew what the price was. What does that do? That's increasing prices, right?
Yeah.
It's not lowering prices in any way.
Yeah.
It's shocking that the Minister of Finance, who is supposed to be intelligent in terms of economics and numbers, is throwing these hilarious scenarios out there when the only problem in Greater Vancouver and British Columbia is the lack of supply, people. That's all it is. And they're not even addressing that subject, right?
Yeah. Well, I would say, definitely, obviously supply, demand is high. So why is demand high? Well,
because there's nothing to buy.
Yeah. Positive migration patterns, right? So,
which means what?
Migration is
which means what? We need more places for people to live.
Clearly, right? So, but then that's also immigration. So you have from the federal level, they're out of whack, right? So the federal level, they allow immigration. It's around 0.8 to 1.2% new immigrants for the last 30 plus years. So that's constant flow of new immigration. And Canada's a country that needs immigration to continuously grow because we have a birth rate problem. We have it wouldn't be sustainable. We could be something like more like Japan moving forward, where they have a birth rate problem, no immigration, and their values have been flat for 30 years, right? So we have immigration, which is, I support immigration, but if you're going to support immigration, then you have to worry about the other side, and then these people need somewhere to live, right? So they're completely out of whack, right? Then you have, like I explain to buyers all the time, you have, after the COVID situation, and they had to print all this money and give checks to people. So when you do extreme, or you have an extreme circumstance and you do extreme measures and extreme decision making, what do you expect on the other side, right? So if you print, I tell buyers all the time, do you realize that they've printed almost 20% more Canadian dollars in the last year? $1 million is not the same as it was last year. I'm telling you. Your purchasing power is much, much less for anything from a home to right now. Everybody wants, that's a new topic, inflation. Everyone wants to talk about, right? So inflation was here last year, but they're only talking about it now, right?
Yeah.
So inflation is much higher than they're talking about. So if you have inflation, immigration, printing of money, purchasing bonds, right? The government of Canada purchasing, or not government of Canada, but the Bank of Canada purchasing bonds, suppressing the interest rates, so making people's purchasing power more, right? And then they're going to try to inflate the debt away. So, for example, having a mortgage at 1.2% and the inflation is 5-6%, maybe even 10%, that dollar is worth a lot less. Give me as much as possible, right? So from an investor standpoint as well, that's what I'm looking at is the spread. So I'm looking at the spread from, if I can borrow 1.2 and I can almost get a guarantee of 5-6%, and there's no guarantee in life, but if it looks that way, how much money you got, Denny? Give me as much as possible.
Exactly.
Right? And I will buy as much as possible. And to a certain, you have to have logic in your decisions. Obviously, you can't just be, a reckless idiot, obviously, but, investors love the spread, right? So if the spread, and the more the spread shrinks, right, then it's less attractive for investors, right? So if they want to solve the problem, it's definitely not what they're doing, right? And if they want to close the tap off when it comes to the money printing, and they want to increase the rates to control inflation, well, the housing problem is the least of our concerns. So that's when people say when's if it crashes? And I say, well, if it crashes, that's the least of your concerns. Worry about your job, worry about putting food on the table, because it's going to get really bad. So if they stop printing money, which they are, the Bank of Canada announced they're not going to be purchasing any more bonds. But if they try to increase the rates and they increase them too quickly, well, that's going to hurt all these major corporations and small businesses, where if they have a lot of debt on their balance sheet, cost of business just got a lot more expensive. So if their costs, and we're talking in the multi-millions or billions, not a few $100s for these businesses, major money moving, if the cost is more, who's getting laid off? A lot of people.
Joe Schmo.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're in this situation right now, the Bank of Canada and the Federal Reserve of the United States and these major central banks, where how much do they push? How much do they succeed or secede, the money printing or increasing the rates. Like it's a fine line that they're trying to walk, right? So, but just locally, if you want to kind of try to solve the problem, encourage more building.
In terms of housing in Greater Vancouver, it's the solution.
Yeah.
There needs to be more homes available.
Yeah.
It's shocking that no one is talking about it.
It's not the vacancy tax.
It's only realtors that are talking about it.
It's not they probably don't listen to us.
But why? But why is the Minister of Finance, who has no fucking clue what she's doing, why is she just broadly making up these terms? Right, cooling off period. That sounds fun. Let's throw that out there.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It doesn't mean
what does
anything.
that mean? Yeah.
You're just like coined a phrase, hashtag cooling off. Like, what is this? Why not talk to people that are actually dealing with this on a daily basis? Mm-hmm. Like, what are you seeing as the problem? Inventory. What is Eli seeing as the problem? Inventory. What is John seeing as the problem? Inventory. What is Sally seeing as the problem? Inventory. Oh, shit. Must be a problem.
Think about it. There's 14 townhomes in Port Coquitlam right now for sale.
It is
How many buyers do you think are looking for that product right now?
14,000. So, what is her name? Selena. I think her name is Selena.
Sorry, who are you?
The Minister of Finance in BC.
I don't even...
Selena
pay
Robinson?
attention, to be honest.
Something like that. I think it's Selena. I'm going to go with Selena.
Yeah.
Selena. Currently in the Tri-Cities, or no, Coquitlam? Did you say Coquitlam?
I said Port Coquitlam. That was specific.
Currently in Port Coquitlam, there's 13,986 more buyers than there are sellers. We have a problem.
Yeah.
Selena? Yes. Selena Robinson?
Correct. Yep.
Yes.
Wow.
I read an article. Okay.
Well, yeah.
On the topic of inflation and investing, I got to go to the bathroom, and I feel like you'll go off on a tangent when I ask you this question.
Yeah.
So
use another refill too.
I'll grab you a beer. Let's say you have $1 million cash. How are you spreading that out to invest right now? Is it real estate? Is it stocks? Is it crypto?
That's a tough question to answer. It really depends on your risk tolerance, and then
share
everything's
a few
inflated.
different examples. Share an example as like, let's use like a higher earning type person that is maybe a physician, maybe a lawyer, maybe a realtor making like a few $100,000 a year that has a bunch of money, seeing inflation rates rise and not knowing what to do with it. Should they throw some money into real estate? What should they do? And I'll grab you another beer. From the Eli King perspective.
Sure. Well, what would I say? I think everything's kind of inflated right now. So, but things can stay inflated for a long period of time, right? So, could be, a year. It could be 10 years where just prices keep going higher. So, I would say, real estate, if you're looking long term, today's price is probably, going to be higher than 10 years from now. But
is real estate your number one investment right now?
Yeah, definitely, Carl. Yeah. So I'm definitely high real estate net worth owner, and then own stocks as well. So for me, I guess it depends on your comfort zone and what you're comfortable in, what your time horizon is. So I have investor buyers saying like, oh, I want to buy a pre-sale, and they get caught up in because pre-sales are hot right now. So I'm like, well, what's your strategy? Are you looking to sell this in, a year? Well, maybe the entry point's not right. If it's 3 years, maybe still it's not right. So I'm a long-term kind of investor and holder. I'm looking 10 years out minimum for anything. And then it comes to comfort zone. So some people like stocks, some people like real estate, some people like crypto, some people like gold. Some people want to invest in a business. So for me, like real estate, I like it because it's tangible and, you can really break down the numbers. Stocks I like too, because they, either have a profit or loss or, growth metric you can analyze. So it really depends. I guess it just comes down to your personality, your risk tolerance. Like for me personally, when it comes to stocks, I don't really like to individually stock pick. If I'm going to buy anything, it's more speculative if it's an individual stock. Otherwise, I'm just buying index fund or that's why I like real estate is, numbers make sense.
I'm going to be totally honest. I thought you were going to be a lot more informative and exciting in that topic. This is what I like about real estate.
I'm pretty boring when it comes to investing, to be honest. I think,
but that's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
I think
it's just simple. Like, I don't think you have to overcomplicate it. Like, the numbers make sense. What's your strategy? I think when people try to like hit home runs, I'm not into hitting home runs. I'm looking to, wealth is built slowly, so to speak. It can be built fast, but
this is what I'm thinking. I think
thanks, buddy.
Hitting a home run is interesting enough to throw a little bit at, right?
Yeah, exactly. Depends what percentage.
If your net worth is $100,000 and you throw $90,000 at a random,
but if you're young, like if you're like 20, for example, you have a lot. It depends. That's another component too. Like,
it's still stupid. If you're throwing a big chunk of your net worth into a altcoin in the hopes that it goes from 3 cents to 12 cents.
Yeah, it's not wise.
Be careful.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But this is why I like real estate so much is that in the short term, you can cash flow. You can make a few $100s a month, which is not super exciting by any means. But at the same time,
slow and steady.
They're paying off your mortgage. Yeah. You're in that 5-year term, in that 10-year window that you own the property, you are likely gaining some capital appreciation. And that $300 a month over 10 years turns into, holy shit, I just made $250,000. Yeah. I just made $250,000.
I can speak to my numbers for my investments if that's more kind of what you were after there. My answer was a little too boring. I think it really depends the person. That's what I was trying to get at. I think maybe is that it's not as simple as like, it depends. Like, for me, my risk tolerance might be a little bit higher than yours. Depends. Like, like I said, I have a wife and 2 kids. So
I think your risk tolerance is a lot lower than mine.
Sorry, a lot lower?
A lot lower.
Yeah.
You have a wife and 2 kids.
Yeah, so it could be because you're,
I have a bag of golf clubs in my garage. That's my only responsibility.
Yeah, there you go.
I have $3,500 worth of responsibility downstairs in my garage. Yeah. That's it.
So not trying to like, brag about, my investments and stuff like that. Just if people are interested, if you're interested. So I purchased some condos that were cash flow positive. So when I analyzed the numbers, I knew there would be cash flow, and then right away that gets me excited. So it's just, what's the investment look like today at the purchase price, and then what does it look like in 10 years? So I don't know. I follow a lot of different real estate type investors and stuff, and it comes down to it's when you purchase is when you it's your entry point, it's your purchase, not your sell. So most people look at the opposite, like, oh, what can I sell it for? Right. So when I get the question of like, oh, I can buy this pre-sale for this, and can I sell it for this? It's like, well,
don't worry about that.
You're thinking way too short, right? So I'm looking, okay, my entry point, you're going to make your money on your purchase, not your sell, right? So for the one of them I purchased, I bought a 2-bed, 2-bath in Port Coquitlam before condos were making a move, and I knew they were going to make a move because the townhomes were really undersupplied. So you figure some buyers would go into that product. Houses or detached were really hot. So I figured like, it's the one I bought for $461. It was a corner unit, 2nd floor, 2 parking, 860 square feet, something like that. When I analyzed all the numbers, the 20% down, entry point, I think it was like $92,000 for 20% down, and based off the mortgage with the interest rate, the strata fee, the property taxes, insurance, I knew my all-in expense would be $1,700. So now the question is, well, how much can I rent it out for? So I felt comfortable I could rent it for $1,800, maybe get as high as $2,000. It actually smelled like smoke in there. So I knew that, okay, it wasn't as appealing. This is an opportunity. So I obviously knew I was going to replace the floors and paint and get rid of the smell and stuff like that. So based off all those numbers, so then I rented it out for, by the time I closed, 3 months later, whatever it was, and put it on the market for rent, I was able to rent it out for $2,150. So cash flow positive, $450 a month. So just cash flow and principal pay down, I'm yielding 14% a month, or sorry, not a month, I wish, 14% a year per annum, which is great. Now, it might not be sexy to a lot of people, but 14% is good in my book, right? I know I can get my money back. I can't remember, it's the rule of 72. So I think it was off the top of my head, it's around 5.5 years. I'll get my down payment back. Mm-hmm. Now, you notice I didn't talk about anything about appreciation. So appreciation is a bonus.
That's the question mark. That's the variable. That's what you're not.
Now we talk appreciation, it gets much more exciting, right? So if I can just get 2.5%, 5% on average per year, then it gets, because of the leverage component, right? But I'm not placing my bet on appreciation. Now it's hard to do in Greater Vancouver real estate, as we know. But I look at it as appreciation a bonus. Now, if you have things like positive migration, low interest rates, low supply, which seems like it'll always be an issue here. Incomes pretty high. There's a lot of high paying jobs here, right? Desirable place, goes with migration, immigration. So all these things are pointing towards it being a growth area. So I feel like my value is safe, but I'm not basing my bet on value, right? Mm. So, it's now worth probably, I don't know, 5.25, 550 easily, right? Range, So yes, I got the appreciation. I got a great entry point, but some people might say oh, why don't you sell? It's I'm thinking 10 years from now, I don't care I actually don't care what the value, as long as it doesn't go to 300, I'd be pretty disappointed, obviously. But it really comes down to, does it pay me? That's why I look at my real estate investments, right? So I have that's just one example, but I have a few of those that are
a lot of people get numbers. A lot of people, yeah, especially young people, get intimidated by the idea of owning real estate.
Yeah, that's why you just gotta buy one and get your feet wet.
Totally. They see these headlines in the media that say booming, crash coming, bullshit, bullshit,
headlines,
right?
You gotta clickbait. Yeah,
understand
get away
that
from
you can start really, really small in Greater Vancouver still. You can still buy a 1-bedroom condo in the 3s in Port Coquitlam that is pretty new, that's going to rent for $1,700, $1,800 a month. You don't even have to live there. If you have a cool rental situation in Vancouver, you like it, you and your boyfriend just moved in together, you're 23 years old, you have 50, 70, 80, whatever, a few, let's say 80 grand, 100 grand to invest in. You don't have to move to Poco if you don't like Poco, but you can invest and have someone else pay your mortgage and build equity that way, right?
Well, even all my first time buyers I help, they're, doesn't matter how old they are, but if they're, let's say, millennials or Gen Z now, right? I always say hey, this is a stepping stone. Like I said, you call me in 5 years and wanting to upgrade, I'm going to encourage you not to sell, right? That might not be smart, from a realtor point of view of trying to make a profit, so to speak. But it's my honest advice. I believe in holding real estate, right? So I said, buy this today, rent it out, move on to your next. You got to see what the numbers look like, obviously, at that point. But no, I'm a big believer in buying and holding and investing. Our parents' generation told us to save, right? Save. It's. We're talking about headlines, right? It's you got to get way past that. Actually educate yourself, get the right content to educate yourself. I'm constantly studying macroeconomics, reading, the latest, bank statements, and, what do the numbers tell me? That's really what it comes down to.
You're more analytical than me, and I'm more gut feel.
Gut feeling is important too. I have that, but.
I work off of experience and things I've seen. Yeah. And I don't like giving advice or even using the word advice. I like sharing experiences and letting people interpret them for themselves. But the one piece of advice I am very, very confident in giving is don't listen to a goddamn word your parents say.
Yeah.
Your parents have no fucking idea what they're talking about when it comes to 2021 investing in real estate. They're working in 1973 where there's 17% interest rates and they're buying homes for 40 grand. Guess what?
And they
That's
got
not
lucky
reality.
and wrote it up, right? So I don't know, it's the financial literacy component of that. We want to get into that. When it comes to education, it's totally messed up. But you have to seek. If you don't seek, you'll never understand, right? And I've never wanted to be someone that's kind of closed-minded and thinks life has to be a certain way, right? Like, why can't it be me, right? So invest in yourself, get the right education, learn from people that actually have done it rather than, someone that's got a headline or some CMHC guy that says it's got a prediction. Like I care less about any prediction. Like, when that guy was saying like 18% crash, I was buying. Got me excited.
100%.
So like I don't listen to the, the fear tactics that people like, because I'm confident because of what I know, right? The quote, the knowledge is power, right? So like, I'm not saying I'm always right. Like, definitely not. Like I have a lot to learn, but that's the point. Constantly, evolving, learning, seeking the information, right? If you're doing that, you're always going to be kind of cutting edge of, what's the best bet, or, that's what I believe in.
My first place that I ever bought was $272,000.
Jealous.
It was a 1-bedroom condo in New Westminster. It was brand new at the time. My dad told me not to do it. He's like, don't do it. How much are you putting down? I had $40,000 that I could put down. Put $40,000 down. He's like, don't do it. Don't do it. You're going to regret this. You're going to regret this. 5 years later, I sold that. Literally in 5 years, I sold that place for $380,000. So with my mortgage pay down over 5 years, plus selling for $100,000 more, I made a little over $100,000. And that just propels you forward, right?
Yeah, exactly. Stepping stone.
Versus paying $1,800 a month in rent every year, every month, that is just going into someone else's pocket.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Like
especially these rates right now, the amount of principal pay down you have, like, on my principal residence, I think it's like, I don't know. I don't even look, but I think it's around like $1,500 a month or something like that.
And
just principal pay
as
down.
young people, like if you're 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, whatever, and you are in a career that you like and you're making a little bit of money and you're saving money, this is interesting, right? This is a really interesting topic. You're renting a basement suite for $1,200 a month. Stay there. If you're happy there, stay there. Buy a 1-bedroom condo. It's going to cost you $1,500, $1,600 a month for your mortgage and your whatever, depending on your down payment. And you're going to rent it for $18,000 to $2,000. You're going to make $400 a month cash. And they're paying your mortgage down $800 or $900 a month.
Mm.
This is really interesting, right?
Mm.
You can stay in your $1,200 a month rental and invest in something that is paying you and you're not worrying about it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to live in your first place. A lot of people have this idea in their head that they have to buy their first place to live in.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is necessarily true, especially if like, for some reason, a lot of like younger people, I'm 32 now, so I get to say younger people. I get to say it. Are you still in your 20s?
No. I'm actually a little bit older than you.
Oh, I thought you were younger than me. I thought you were like 29 or 30.
Yeah, I look it, but
yeah.
And my my fitness watch tells me I'm 23 and a half. Yeah.
You're older? You're 88?
Yeah, I'm 88. Late 88.
Yeah, I'm 89.
So I'm 30. I just turned 33 a little over a week ago.
A lot of younger people think that their first place has to be like this dream image that they're purchasing. Right? Mine was a shitty, like, not shitty.
Stepping stone.
It was fine. It was like a nice condo, but it was like a small 600 square foot 1-bedroom condo in New West.
Mm-hmm.
Did I want to live there forever? No.
Yeah.
But I thought investing in something other than just having $40,000 cash in my bank account was better than nothing.
Well,
right?
I think, from a societal point of view, is like, there's, personal kind of, idea, or what your parents told you or what society tells you, like, it's fear, right? So fear is very much a limiting factor to people, right? Also putting yourself in a box, right? Saying you have to work for this person or work for this company forever, or I'm only worth $20 an hour, right? Like only you are telling yourself that, right? You don't have to be that, right? So that's why I got into real estate. That was the main driver I got into real estate, is because I did not want to cap to my income. And I wanted to be in some form of sales or an opportunity where it was my effort that would propel me, not working for the man. Not saying that's bad. You can work your way up the corporate ladder, but I wanted, so like that's how I propel my business is, I did open houses every single weekend for a weekend, my first year of real estate. I door knocked with my partner, Josh, 30,000 doors in about a year. That's effort. That's work that not a lot of people want to do, right? But that got me to where I am today, right? You know, and I'm not saying I'm top of the mountain or anything like that.
Is this going to be your third full year?
No, fourth. I just finished my third full year. Yeah.
So no, but like from January to December, this will be your third full calendar year?
I started in October 2018.
Yeah.
So I've just completed my third year.
How many transactions are you going to do in 2021? You.
Well, we're a team now, so
Okay,
I don't know.
so you and Josh together.
But Josh and I, so our buyer's agents have kind of just joined us. Martin and Liz, great people. Martin is a young hustler that been mentoring for a few years, and he's only 20 years old, but the kid
how many units really here?
I don't know. I actually don't. I track my numbers at the end of the year because I'm not driven by.
You got to be kidding me. You don't know the number?
No.
I know the number.
I have an idea.
I know every second of every day of my business.
I think it's around 80 this year. But I don't like
80,
I'll
80
look
team wise.
Yeah, but Josh and I are majority of that because Martin has just started the last 2 months. Liz is about 6 months. They haven't done a lot of volume yet, right? So it's most of it's Josh and I. But next year I think we'll do over 100 as a team of 4 for sure. Right?
Okay, so 80 is awesome.
Depends on the market.
80 is
right?
awesome.
Yeah,
congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
You. Yeah,
you should know the exact number.
Yeah, but
we're at 191 right now.
Holy smokes.
And if you ask me in 24 hours from now, we'll probably be at 192, and I will know it the second it happens.
And I'm not saying that's wrong. You know, for me, I can maybe explain a little why I don't know. Because I am a numbers guy, I like to track. I'm not driven by that number, right?
It doesn't matter.
So I analyze my numbers at the end of the year. And then
so Jamie has no interest in that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Jamie's more like marketing and people, which is amazing. Because I want to be more like sales and relationships.
Gosh, you guys are like 192. That's serious volume.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Like,
that's great. Yeah.
We're close enough to 200 now that we're like,
well,
it's funny to say as we're in our team meeting. So we have a team meeting every Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
Just Zoom, whatever. But every week that goes by, we're like, we feel a bit more pressure, and like the team is like, fuck, are we going to get there? Yeah. We're talking about 200, obviously.
Yeah.
We've never cracked 200 ever. And so every week that goes by, we're like, oh my God, is this going to be a failure year? Is this going to be a failure? When this is by far,
drives you,
this is by far our best year ever, right?
Yeah.
But just like the really cool thing about our team is like, we're so excited together. Right? There's five realtors. There's 5 of us.
Communal goal, right?
Totally.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
And it's like this almost mythological number of 200.
Yeah. No, it's crazy.
That we've never seen before.
Really impressive.
It's so cool.
I think maybe going more in that direction because I really feel strong about our team, and you know, like we're kind of trying to, you know, get to where you guys are at, right? But for me, I'm more about process driven than result driven. So I believe in if I do the right things day in, day out, results happen. So that's why I'm not really focused on the number. I'm not saying that's bad. It's just for me, it's not a driver, right? Like just like being a top 1% team. Like I know we'll get there, but it doesn't really drive me, to be honest. Like all the kind of accolades in the real estate game, like I'm not really interested by it, to be honest. Like
it literally means nothing.
Yeah.
It means nothing.
I'm not saying any you guys
top
either.
1%, I would say being able to say your top 1% helps us land a listing.
Yeah.
1 out of 25 times. Very, very, very few. Doesn't mean anything. We don't even talk about it. Like it says it on our business card, sure, because it's cool that you're allowed to say that, whatever. What does it mean? Doesn't mean anything. Like our business is so sold on relationships, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like meeting people, connecting with people, and being able to present your value to them. This is what we do really, really well. Going back to like, I don't know how long we've been talking, an hour and ago, whatever. We're talking about like neighborhoods, and I brought up Queen's Park, and I had this meeting this morning over Zoom with a new buyer that is wanting to buy in Queen's Park. And at the beginning of the meeting, she said, just so you know, we're meeting 3 different realtors. I said, okay, that's great. Halfway through the meeting, we started talking about Queen's Park, and I was like, I think one of their questions was, what are your relationships like with other realtors in the industry? And I just kind of said, well, you're looking at a really specific neighborhood, and there are 5 realtors, real estate teams that do the majority of sales in that neighborhood. And I name the 5, like us, Dave Valley, Lori Frolic. Sorry, Lori. I'm not 100% sure on the pronunciation of your name. I love you. You're awesome. Frolic.
I think so.
I'm sorry. I love you.
She's great.
Derek Thornhill.
Yeah.
Tracy Davies. There's like 5.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
And like right away, I saw the client, this potential client's face. She's like, oh yeah. She's like, we're meeting with 3 people and they're the 3 people that you mentioned. I was like, well, yeah, like this is our neighborhood. We know and I said, there's been 24 sales this year in Queen's Park. That's low. Like that's not very many. That's 2 a month basically. Yeah. And I'd say 80% of them are between those 5 people, right? So it's like those people get the listings because everyone knows them in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, if you want to know our relationship with them, call them. Call Lori right now. Ask her about me. We text weekly. Like it's like Lori will text me and be like, hey, I have a buyer looking in Glenbrook or the Heights or Sappleton or whatever.
Understanding is
looking for a 5-bedroom house. Do you have anything coming up?
Tons of realtors, right? You know, some of them are really good friends, right? So,
and that's what they said. They're like, what are your relationships like with other realtors? And I said, our database of realtors is in the thousands.
Yeah.
And
if you have a bad relationship with a realtor, it's not a good thing. Like, you know, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Right. You should be all kind of like trying to get along and make the deal kind of happen, of course. And I've only had a few quote unquote on the blacklist and something they did.
Do you have a blacklist?
Well, not like an actual blacklist, but like mental. You know, somebody see their name again kind of thing. I'm like, oh, okay, you did that time. That's right. I for me, it's more the dishonest things kind of thing that really gets you there. So
I have a blacklist.
I've had a few of those for sure.
I'd recommend starting one.
Yeah.
I have a blacklist on my phone. It's just people.
Well, like one, you know, fudged multiple offers one time, top producing realtor. Like, come on. You know, like that stuff is just like I'm obviously not going to mention the name, but just that's just crossing the line.
You can mention the name.
No. Not going to do it, but
this is not getting publicized, is it?
Yeah.
It's just for us.
Well, yeah, no, but yeah. Yeah, that kind of stuff is just, you know, you deserve that, right? So I don't know other examples, but that kind of behavior, just crossing the line, right?
One of the big things for me is not dealing with multiple offers properly. And it's not necessarily, it's not so much coming from the fact that I lost. It's coming from the fact that you fucked the person that you're working for. Mm-hmm. And that makes our industry look really bad. When consumers see their neighbor sell the next week for $150,000 more, like, well, what the hell? Jenny Smith or Tom Smith didn't do that for me. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, because they suck. They didn't call anyone back. They had 15 offers and you just took the first one that came in. Yeah, it sucks. You could call. There was a scenario. This is our best one this year. And it's not the best one in my career, but the best one this year. House in New West, busy street, really good reno with a suite. Great starter home. The original best offer was $110,000 under what it sold for. How does that happen? We had 14 offers. You call everyone back. What's the harm? Eli, I'm sorry, man. Like,
you're way out of
it. You wrote a strong offer. It's subject free. It's the dates that we want.
Yeah.
There's 5 groups ahead of you, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that scenario.
And you're like, well, how much is it? I was like, it's quite a bit.
I lost by $100,000.
It's quite a bit.
Plateau house.
If you'd like to win.
I thought I was doing okay.
Yeah, I know.
I thought I was in the hunt at least.
I know. No. There was one group in that scenario that came up $160,000.
Yeah.
If you don't call anyone back, guess what, bro?
Yeah, we
lost out on $160,000.
You're like 5th place in that one.
The reason I'm so passionate and angry about this topic is that this is life-changing money for people that we're working with, right? Mm-hmm. For people,
you don't sell your home that often, right? Well, people you shouldn't, at least.
So this was like depends. A younger couple who, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it happens all the time where like you're dealing with a couple who's in their like late 50s. They raise their kids in the home. They're downsizing to a condo. This is their life savings, right? Mm-hmm. $150,000 to them for the next step in their life, the
course,
next chapter is
generational wealth.
life-changing, right?
Yeah.
It's the difference between them being able to go on a vacation every year for the next 10 years or just downsizing
Speaking
to
of
a
that,
condo.
I need a
and
vacation.
I know.
Desperately.
I think you're undervaluing how important multiple offers are.
Oh no, me?
Yeah.
No.
You're making jokes about this. I'm very
I know you're very passionate about it. No, I know.
We need a course.
Well, the thing is, like, I'm definitely
Fillmore.
more on the buyer side.
You
of
follow
things.
Fillmore on Facebook?
Fillmore? No, I don't. I know who he is, obviously, but
Come on.
I don't follow him.
Fillmore is a lifelong legend in BC
I know.
real
He's
estate.
got a Ferrari.
I know. He was the president of the real estate board for a few years.
No, I don't. I've met Phil a couple times. I don't really know him personally or anything, so.
He's very loud on Facebook. Every time he comments, I was always like, Phil, we need lessons on multiple offers.
That's what you say every time.
He called me one time while he was president because there was a multiple offer situation on a listing that we had. This is a interesting story. This is the behind the scenes of real estate that is very important that consumers don't see. Multiple offers. We counter one of the offers. If you do this deal, here's written offer. If you do it, we'll sign. We'll agree. They don't reply for like an hour. In that hour, the other group calls us and is like, we'll do better than that. So we revoke the offer.
Yeah.
That's a legal thing, people. If you didn't know, realtors, most realtors don't know this. You can revoke a counteroffer in writing. Text, email,
if it's
call,
signed,
do it all.
Yeah, but if it gets signed before, you
Doesn't
can't revoke,
matter.
can you? I can't remember.
So how do you prove that it's signed before?
Yeah.
So
it has to be submitted. It has to be submitted back in time, and then if it's a proof of if it's gone like into your inbox, kind of thing, right? You could.
So this is the rule. It has to be communicated.
Yeah.
So if agent 123 receives our counter, drives over to Mr. Smith's house, gets it signed in writing, doesn't send it to us or communicate to. If he sends a text saying, "Hey, it's accepted. I'm just driving back to my office," done deal.
Yeah.
Doesn't send that text.
Yeah.
In this scenario, it wasn't even signed yet, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
We revoked it. That agent ghosted us for 2 hours because he obviously didn't have it signed. And then said, "Oh, sorry, it was accepted. I'm just waiting to get it back to you. I've already submitted the deposit to my office." We're like, "Too bad, bro."
Wow.
And we
rough.
sold it to someone else. Anyway.
Well, you got to. I think the lesson there is the miscommunication, the lack of communication
with him.
Yeah, with him, not you. No, like whoever that person was should have communicated.
Well, no. But he obviously saw we emailed, texted, called, left a voicemail.
Yeah. No, that's my point. Is they dropped the ball.
No, but he knew.
Yeah.
He knew he should have done it really quickly, and he didn't. Yeah. And he missed out on the opportunity
so that's his
to win
mistake.
Yeah. And so he tried to like scramble behind the scenes and then say, "Oh, no, it's signed. It's signed. See? Look." Sends a text 2 hours later. It's signed. It's signed. I just haven't sent it to you yet. Doesn't work like that. So you can revoke. Revoking is interesting. Keep it in the back of your head if you're a real estate agent. Anyway, he actually submits the deposit to his brokerage. Calls Phil Moore the next morning. Phil calls me. He's like, "What happened?" I was like, "I broke it down." He's like, "Yeah, you're allowed to do that." I don't know. He made up a different story. I was like, "Well, this is what happened, Phil. I don't know what I'm going to say."
Yeah.
I said, "We sold to someone else." He's like, "Yeah, you're allowed to." I said, "I know."
Have a great day.
I know. Literally, that was it. I was like, "All right, thanks, Denny.
Yeah.
Nice talking to you." Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get off real estate. We've been talking.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot of real estate.
This is not a real estate podcast.
No, it feels like.
I feel like
I love real estate. I know you love real estate too. Like it's definitely. I consume it probably 12 hours a day.
Dude, it's all consuming.
Yeah.
12 hours a day is a low estimate.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it every second of every day almost. Man.
Yeah, pretty much. But
dude, I go for beers with my friends. I'm like thinking about properties I saw that day. I'm thinking about clients. I'll make notes while I'm out with my friends for beers, being like, "Oh shit, I didn't communicate with Jeff today." Seriously. Yeah. I'll like text myself being like, "Email Jeff tomorrow morning."
Yeah. I'm more of an old school pen and paper. But I'm a taskless guy, so I have like my A, B, C, but I get to it. So because I'm like I can't keep in my head, because if I keep in my head, then I'm limited, right? In my performance, so to speak, right?
That's why I text myself or make a note on my phone.
Yeah.
And then I'll
100%.
just look at it tomorrow morning or something.
Whatever works for you. But for me, it's like I literally carry a notepad, like a task.
You're going to go for beers with your friends and you're going to carry a notepad?
No, not that. But no, I have it
Is it a
I have it in my
Doris
office.
G notepad?
No.
Because I have hundreds of them.
Yeah, those are good ones. I don't get those in my house, but yeah, no, I'm an old school like pen and paper guy, so I don't carry it around with me. Obviously, no, you know, like if I was like having beers with you, kind of thing, I put on my, like if it came right now, maybe I would make a note on my phone kind of thing, but then I would put it in my ledger after. I don't know. It's just like whatever works, because I actually tried the digital version and I just didn't like it. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about the pen and paper and writing it down, and then when you tick it,
it's fun to cross off.
Yeah, like I'm that guy. Yeah. So I don't know. It just works for me. Again, whatever works for you, right? It doesn't have to be a certain way, right? You know? Well, yeah, let's not talk about real estate. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about...
We're talking about traveling earlier.
Yeah, we're traveling. I love to travel.
Have you gone
I'm an
away
experienced guy.
2
I'm
years?
not a possession guy.
Have you
No,
gone
I haven't.
away in the last 2 years?
Well, I went to Kelowna for 5 days last September. For us, the challenge, obviously, you know, for everybody these days with the COVID, and then, gosh, when will it end? I talked to a physician today, potential client, and he says, like, we had a pretty authentic conversation after talking real estate, or whatever, and he said he thought it was going to be like a year and a half. Gosh, I could see it, but, you know, I don't think it'll ever end.
It's funny that the border, so I'm going to the States on Tuesday. It's funny that the border, to fly across, you got to get a COVID test on the way down. To drive across, nothing.
Yeah, like none of this stuff. I don't want to really talk about COVID too much, because it's just like it seems like you always talk about. But like, the one point I'll make is I don't think a lot of it doesn't make sense. I think that's a conclusion. Like, you know, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I got COVID, you know, in April, you know, but I don't think a lot of it just doesn't make sense. Like your example, like doesn't make sense. So I don't know who's making all these decisions, but how does that make sense?
This is what I think the problem is.
It's kind of like real estate. Kind of, let's get off real estate, but like it's kind of
yeah, totally. The people that are making decisions on COVID are not educated on viruses and science, right? It's like Selena Robinson is not educated on what is happening in Greater Vancouver real estate, and yet she's making these crazy policies of this cooling off period. This thing is batshit crazy, and it's going to make it worse, Selena.
Yeah.
What is happening?
Well, the thing is, like, yeah, it just, you know, like a country can govern and make its own laws. So, you know, if the U.S. decides to do something, then sure, right? Canada decides to do something, but I don't know. I guess you're limited by travel because of the virus, but it seems like it's opening up again, right? So I'm looking forward to going away somewhere. I've been thinking about it, but like just like all these growth pains in my business, like are obviously a priority right now. It will get better. And then just like, I don't know, like I've literally been living in the fast lane for 2 years, even 3 years, call it. Like, and I'm excited by it, but you can't be driving 150 miles an hour forever, right? So I know, because my wife and I are like very much experienced people. Like we like to dine out, not much consumer type people. We don't spend any money on like anything really, but except real estate. But yeah. So now we have 2 kids, so like we're limited by that, of course, as well. So like I want to get away. Like we love to travel. So the last trip I took was Kelowna for 5 days, and we wouldn't call that a trip. Our first was how old was he then? 10 months, I guess, roughly around there. So we went away Kelowna for 5 days, but then before that, the last trip I took was Maui, 2019 October. So I'm like so desperate.
How many vacations did you take in your first 3 years?
Yeah, that's a great question.
0?
No, it wasn't 0.
But it wouldn't be long. It'd be
There's a couple.
really is.
There's probably once a year.
Yeah.
like short.
I'm a minimum
week.
once a year guy.
So
Like 2-3 weeks.
I always say this, like my real estate journey is different than most because I had a ridiculous opportunity. And I think I was a really interesting personality and work ethic to fit that opportunity well.
Mm-hmm.
But I will always acknowledge that it was a ridiculous opportunity. to connect with Jamie. Jamie is just like,
Jamie's a great guy. And I've known Jamie before you. I'm not saying we're like best of friends or anything like that, but like Jamie's a great guy. And I know him back in my CGP days when I was probably like, I don't know if he's told you how we know each other or whatever, but I would have been young, probably like 17-ish. I don't know, maybe younger, 15. I don't know.
So I didn't have to start from zero. I got to start with Jamie as like a team person, right? Teammate.
Yeah.
So
great teammate to have.
it was the most ridiculous learning experience of all time. And I feel like I spent 12 months in real estate and I was 6 years deep in terms of experience.
Like drinking from a fire hydrant, right?
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Like even like the young guy I have on my team, Martin, like same thing for him. I can just like see it. Like he's actually super intelligent. He's actually a UVic student, got his real estate license, and he's already done like 6 deals in like 2 months.
So
it's impressive. And he's just a hustler, right? Like, I have so much respect for the kid.
As a team leader, what do you look for in terms of bringing on a new agent to your team?
First is character, like character traits, number one for me.
Define
personally.
those though. Character is just
who you are as a human being, really, so what you stand for, though? Who are you?
Yeah, but what?
Yeah. So, integrity, honesty, do what you say, accountability, can you perform the act or the job? Obviously, that's one component, but I think it starts from who you are. So if I can't trust you or...
What about their experience though? Do you care about
zero. Don't care if they have experience.
Not necessarily in real estate, but do you care if they've what their work experience is like? Do you look at their education history? No. Do you look at anything?
No. The assistant I just hired, I didn't even look at her resume.
So all you care about is getting a gut feeling that they're
some of that for
they're
sure
trustworthy.
Yeah, it's a vibe. It's a thing. Like like it's a conversation. You don't know. I don't need to read what's on your paper. It's literally a conversation. And I could be wrong, like, say quick to hire and quick to fire kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's going to work out every time, but like this whole kind of culture that we're in when it comes to, credibility. Like credibility is important, of course, but just because you have something doesn't mean it's valuable.
Define that and what you think the social environment values in terms of credibility.
Well, education would be a big one.
Disagree.
Right. Okay. So like I'm talking about like
I think education was really important 15 years ago.
No. I'm not saying no. So
and today
you're asking
no one gives a fuck.
Yeah. No. Maybe you're sorry. Maybe I misunderstood. So you asked me what society or what employers or value.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they value like the degree.
Disagree.
Yeah.
Disagree.
I think they still do.
10 years ago it was.
Yeah.
I think most people don't.
Who it is.
Most people don't care.
Yeah.
If you're an accounting firm, you need someone that has passed the accounting degree. I get it.
Sure.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
But if you're a startup, if you're a small business, if you are a real estate company, if you are a whatever.
Well, I think it's becoming less important. I agree with you.
It's irrelevant.
But still, in many ways it can be, of course.
Right?
But I think it's still like pretty important for a lot of people as like a checklist. Like I guess it depends what industry and stuff like that.
I think the big business is telling you it's important. I think they have to have some sort of checklist to narrow down applicants. Mm-hmm. And that's an easy one. Just saying like, oh, you have to have a degree.
Yeah, no, that's the entry point. That's my point. That's the entry point. If you don't have that.
But every year that number of businesses that is entry point checking the bachelor's degree is going down and down.
I agree. So that's where we agree for sure. Like, I think that's why maybe you disagree with me. I believe that trend is going that way for sure. Yeah, it feels like that. At least the stuff I seek for content and stuff like that, and it feels like that's the case.
It's funny in our industry, like it's almost a deterrent to me when I look at people that are potentially going to join our team. Yeah. I really like people that have worked in hospitality, just because of the vast skill set you get
amount of personality
from dealing with different types of people.
Yeah.
And I really like people that have played high level sports. Yeah. Because you understand a couple things.
Well, competitive nature is huge in this business.
One, you have to be competitive
to kill people
to get better at sports. Totally.
Yeah.
2, you have to be able to work with a team in most sports.
Yeah.
Soccer, football, basketball, whatever.
Yeah.
Lacrosse, it doesn't matter. Hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to understand that the amount of work you put in is the only reason that you can get better, right?
Well, I can speak
if you
to,
don't
to
try,
my personal, situation. Like, I'm not that educated, to be honest. I've taken, I don't have a degree or anything like that.
I would disagree with you saying you're not educated, because
I'm
I think you've educated
but
yourself
not from a piece of paper standpoint.
You've educated yourself in practical ways, right?
Yes.
Whereas most people have
Sweat
bought
equity.
into society and are educating themselves in impractical ways.
Correct. Yeah.
Such as learning psychology 101 and
I can learn that from
right?
any book, like from the different, like
you can watch a YouTube video in 10 minutes and learn psychology 101 versus spending $5,000 and wasting 6 months of your life on this course, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. But I've always had that competitive nature because, from sport, like I played hockey growing up from 5. Even my mom, she always says to me, "You've always been working, Eli. You started from 5 years old." Right? Because it's an attitude, right? I had a dream to play in the NHL. Didn't happen. It's okay. Moved on from that. But, from 5 years old, I was committed to something, right? That's what I'm going to teach my 2 boys is just like some sort of, commitment, wanting to win, they don't have to win. It's okay if you don't, right? You're not necessarily going to be the best at everything. But, just doing what you say, putting the effort in, right? Being competitive, right? Like show up, right? And I think a lot of people just don't show up. So, from 5 to 21 is where I played till. I kind of knew the writing was on the wall probably by the time I was like 17-ish, right? I could kind of see that, like, I wasn't going to be good enough. Like I was good enough to be there, so to speak, right? I didn't have the opportunity in some cases. But I got to see like the hard truth of life, like really young, on how it's pretty cutthroat and you got to be okay with that. So when a coach tells you something, it doesn't have to be true. It's going to be the same thing in the business world. You think I get upset when a buyer says they don't want to work with me or it's not going to work out? Dude, don't even think about it. Like, it's like the next day, it's like whatever.
Dealing with rejection is so
it's
so
a huge
important
thing
in any business, right?
Yeah.
It's not real estate specific.
No,
it's,
it could be
it's
anything.
Contracting.
It could be as simple as a deal like that doesn't work out on an investment.
Yeah.
Whatever, get over it. Move forward.
Yeah.
Right?
One thing you said, I want to clarify and maybe elaborate on a little bit, is you don't necessarily need to be the best. And I don't think you need to even have the idea in your head that you want to be the best. Yeah. It's an interesting thought process to like have a goal, but the goal shouldn't necessarily be compared to other people. And when you say I want to be the best,
I agree 100%.
Right? I want to beat Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like I want to be the best of all time. You're competing against other people, which I think phrase your mindset and your work ethic and your thought process because you're comparing against other people.
You shouldn't be.
Versus like improving yourself, your business, your systems in your business, your employee relations, your whatever. I think that is so much more important.
Well, it's like, you and I, quote unquote, competitors. We know there's enough business growth around, right? We might even be in the same listing position. It's all good, right? But I think where I was going with that is that what I do good is what I do good at. And what you do good at is what you do good at. And I got to focus on what I do good at.
Focus on that, 100%.
Not what, what Denny's doing or, JD Teamer's doing. Like, I respect you guys and you guys are freaking great at what you do.
Yeah, fuck you. You probably trash talk that shit.
The truth is out.
But, why am I worried about what you guys, now I definitely watch what you guys are doing because you guys are ahead of us, right? So I'm like trying to like learn, but doesn't mean that's the right course of action for us, right? Or, any great, realtor in the business. Like I'm definitely watching, but I'm not like fixated on that and like, oh, I got to do this, like, because then you just get distracted, right? So, being the best version of yourself in every way. That's what I strive for as an individual.
It's not even best. I hate the word best. I hate it. I hate it so much. It's like, it's a mythological thing, right? It's perfection. It doesn't exist.
Well, no, perfection doesn't exist.
So I always think like, how do you keep growing? How do you keep getting better? Not best. This best idea is mythological to me in my head. It's like, I'm here now. How do I get a little bit better? Mm-hmm. How do I keep getting a little bit better? Mm-hmm. Can I change these 3 things in my business? Can we post
What
more
can I
on
do
Instagram?
today?
Can we do
what can I do
something
today?
different? Whatever.
Yeah.
But the best thing I hate, and I don't
No,
even
I don't
like
think I think you maybe misunderstanding. It's not about being the best. It's about, I don't know if I could use a better word, but like being the greatest version of yourself.
It's growth. It's personal growth. It's business growth.
Like how can you improve?
Yeah.
Right. Daily, right? As an individual, as a team, whatever you're trying to focus on, right? So for me, I'm constantly trying to strive to be better than I was yesterday. Like,
And that's something I think you learn really well from being involved in sports at a young age.
Yeah.
Is like improvement.
Yeah.
Okay. You're like, for me and Carl, basketball was like our thing.
Mm-hmm.
Your left hand is weak.
Yeah.
How do we improve your left hand? How do we get a little bit better at that for this year?
Mm-hmm.
Let's still focus on your strengths. I'm a good shooter. I want to keep shooting. I want to get better at shooting, but also improve this so that you're a little bit more dynamic, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing that is not taught in sport, at least in my experience in sports growing up, is that treating people really well is almost more important than your talent, right? In sport, it's not. In business, it's more important, right? Your relationships with people, how you treat consumers, how you treat other people in your industry is more important than your talent. If you are a rock star in terms of communication and service, whether or not you're the best realtor in the industry is irrelevant because consumers love you and realtors love you, right?
Yeah.
So this is one of the things like, if I ever have a kid,
being
and
authentic.
I'm
Being
probably
authentic,
a decade away from that, and I'm okay with admitting that.
I'd recommend sooner rather than later, but I don't know. I can give you my point of view on
But
that.
if I ever have a kid, like I'm drilling into them,
Yeah.
like treat people super well, like be friends with everyone. What is the harm?
Yeah, being open-minded.
Jimmy doesn't like you. Who gives a shit about Jimmy?
Yeah.
But still be nice to him. Okay, no problem, Jimmy. Love you, buddy. Have a great day. It is what it is.
You don't want to be friends with the person. You can still, treat them with respect, right?
Always.
And I think I definitely agree with when it comes to like, okay, if you be the best, capability of being whatever your profession is, but you're a crappy person. Well, especially if you're in a relationship type business, then I don't know how well that's going to work out for you. Like some people just want to go with only just an expert and they don't care how they are treated. But like, I think for me, like I try to be authentic as possible, professional with being authentic every single day. That's who I am. Like, I just be who I am.
So this is why I love this combination of hospitality and sports. Sports teaches you to be ultra competitive and work on yourself, improve yourself. But in my experience in sports, it taught me to be a prick, right? It taught me to be like, fuck you to other people. Taught me to be like, I'm competing one-on-one against you.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the right way to think about like relationships and business long-term. Versus hospitality taught me to be the opposite of prick. Taught me to be like, whatever you want, you get.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is necessarily the...
What's the killer instinct that you have to have? Like, okay, there's one opportunity here and it's you or me. Like,
totally.
I don't think... You have to learn that. You know, I think it's a big key to life.
I don't think
life is not that way though, right? And that's what you're trying to get at. You don't have to be that, right?
But the combination is so interesting of being super competitive with yourself.
Yeah.
Being ultra growth mindset, being like, I know I'm getting better, but I know I can get even much better over the next few years by doing these things, but also really being considerate and thoughtful of how the consumer is going to interpret what I'm saying to them. Right? So that's what I learned from hospitality is I could say something to someone thinking that I was just being really friendly and they could interpret it a completely different way and think I was being an asshole. And that's almost that's the thing that hospitality taught me is like, it has nothing to do with what you say. It's only about how the consumer, that person is interpreting it, how that person is listening and hearing it.
Yeah.
And so the combination to me is really, really important. And that's why I think my personality has developed into what it is today and why this real estate world works so well for me.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing about real estate where I could take to kind of almost anything else now is that I've had so many conversations that I'm not afraid of any conversation.
Dude, 100%.
Like,
I know.
Like I can read, like, I don't want to come off like I'm bragging kind of thing, but like, I say to my wife sometimes, I'm like, like, it's true. Like I am a master when it comes to like body language, verbal cues. Like I'm not trying to manipulate anybody, but like I am, like, you know, but the only reason I am is because, well, from any sort of study, but then obviously just practice, right? It's like I have to know like every objection or every script, or I don't even use a script, you know, I'm authentic, right? But like, you know, I think the key is just, you know, from making call 1 to call 100, from call 100 to, you know, call 1,000 or conversation 1,000 to 10,000, like I hope you get better, right? You know?
I firmly believe that every single conversation is exponential, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like every interaction, you're learning something from you and you're taking it to the next one, right? So it's an exponential scale that is just going flat for a while and then it starts increasing and then it just spikes.
Yeah. Something just clicks or
Totally.
Yeah.
Like look back at my 8-year career, how many thousands and thousands and thousands of conversations have I had with consumers?
Yeah.
And in the first 300, I was probably trash.
Yeah, probably.
I was just a lost little kid, right?
Yeah.
But in the last 100, they've probably been really good.
Yeah.
Probably really good.
And the key is trying to keep evolving, because I don't get stumped that often, but if you do, you're like, whoa.
But that's the exciting part. That's the exciting part, Carl, though.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I've never heard that before.
Interesting, because I'll even admit it. Like that's how I handle like whatever, if it's an objection or whatever, I'll be like, wow, that was a great question. I'll like, you know, just even get a few, one, it's true, right? You know, and then just kind of be able to think about it. Like, wow, that was a great question. I haven't heard that before.
Okay. So what's your next step then? So you're in a listing appointment.
Yeah.
Someone asks you something that you don't know the exact response to.
Sure.
You say, wow, that was a great question. Next. What's next?
Well, it depends the subject matter.
No.
I guess. But no.
What's next?
Well, what you say all the time is like, you don't know right now, but you're going to figure it out and get back to
Yeah,
it.
that's what I...
Admitting you don't know everything.
That's where I was going.
Totally. Admitting you don't know everything is so important in any business, right?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to fake it. That's for sure. That wasn't going to be my answer, but I would say it depends the subject matter. That's why I was starting with, and then to Carl's point, that's where I probably would have gone, is like, I maybe don't know the answer, but let me, you know, figure that out.
But usually my response is, my gut reaction to this is X.
Sure.
Yeah.
But let me get back to you in a couple hours.
Do you think your sellers appreciate you being vulnerable? And I guess it's just the whole honesty aspect of it, right?
If they don't appreciate that,
Yeah.
it's almost not someone that you're necessarily interested in working with,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
Like,
Well, it's just, again, being authentic, honest.
totally.
Yeah.
My thought is, my first reaction is this, but I'm going to get back to you in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then do some research, call the person that you need to call, whatever.
Yeah.
This is what I found, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like
either it changes or
scenario.
supports your initial reaction.
Yeah.
It's the same in anything.
I will
like,
say sometimes I'll be like, from my experience, I've had this, you know, again, it's, you know, we're not being super specific, but like, I'll be like, from my experience, you know, I've dealt with this, you know, this is what the result was. I'm not saying that's the best answer for you, but, you know, this is what, you know, has happened in the past, you know. I don't know. We had to be more specific, I guess, what that is. But like,
but that's really valuable.
definitely
I
not
think,
faking it. Like, I don't agree with that. But
that's valuable to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Is, I don't know the exact answer to your question.
Yeah.
We have to kind of play it out to see what happens.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I've dealt with these 3 similar situations in the last few months. This is what happened in this one. This is what happened in this one. This is what happened in this one.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that yours is going to be exactly the same as this, but here's a few different reactions that happen based on whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Our industry is so funny that like every single day you're dealing with new people in different situations. Yes, there's similarities you can pull. Yes, there's experience you can pull to provide guidance, but it's still a new challenge and a new journey for every single one, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a different budget. It's a different like timeline. It's a different family environment that you're dealing with. It's a different, you know, their careers are different. Their income is different. It's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
That you're trying to put together, right?
Situation or problem has got to have the same solution, right? You know, and I think that's a lot of times what our job is. We're solution based, right? You know, where there's a problem, try to find a solution, right?
When someone asks you what your job is, what do you say?
That's a good question. I don't really get that question. So.
Oh, come on. Eli, nice to meet you. My name's Denny Dumas. What do you do for a living?
I do for a living? Realtor.
No. See, I say...
No, I'm just kidding. But I don't know what exactly my answer would be. I probably just, because most of it depends where it is and stuff. Like, a lot of my life is surface level, so I try to get past surface level as we're having this conversation. But I'll just, it depends who it is. Like if it's just someone just met, I'll just probably just be like, I'm in real estate, and if it gets further than that, then I might elaborate more, and then I'll talk about I'm in the business of solving problems for people. I get problems, constantly getting people that are asking, how do I do this? How do I fix this? How do I get this? Right. And it's your job to figure out the answer. Right.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
Is they say,
So it depends,
what do you do as a realtor? What do you do in real estate? I say, I'm a relationship manager.
Yeah.
I manage relationships and I'm a problem solver. Those are the two things I do. Negotiating is very important, but the other two take far precedent.
Yeah. Well, that's why I try to stress to my team all the time on how you guys are. We might not be running the exact same business, obviously, but I'm all about communication, and the consumer wants it now. So how are you going to provide that for them, right? So I'm all about service and getting it done, right? So you should know, preparation, huge. We have market update for every kind of product type we deal in and municipality we deal in. It's there, done every single month. So that if I have a buyer, seller that calls me and says they want to know, right, something, I have the information right there, done, right? So I think the key is being responsive, right? Even I can't understand from our point of view when you don't get a response back from a realtor in a decent amount of time, right? You just imagine how they treat their clients. I haven't looked at my phone here, and I don't want to be addicted to my phone. I want to eventually be retired from my phone. That's my goal. But just the consumer wants it now. If someone texts me at 9:30, I have a cutoff, and I want to become not everything's about work, and I want to be a good husband and a family man, right?
Disagree. Everything's about work.
No, I'm very committed to my job, as you know, but I want to be a good father, of course, and husband, right? So I want to get to the point in my career where I can kind of shut that off at a certain point. Actually someone like Jamie, for example, is someone I really idolize when it comes to, how he is, as a dad, what he shows at least, right? He's got 3 boys, right? So
it is interesting. At the same time, it is extremely frustrating because sometimes you can never get a hold of that prick.
Yeah.
And what the hell are you going to do?
Yeah, exactly.
What if you need to know an answer right now?
Yeah, no. So if I get an answer or if I get a question at 9:30, at this point in my career, I'm answering, more times than not, right? You just have to, right? If a lead comes in at 9:30, you're going to respond to it? I usually I kind of now have if it's past 9 p.m., I won't call the lead, but I'll definitely text the lead and say, hey, what's a good time for you to talk tomorrow, kind of thing, right? But it's responsiveness. You have to be responsive. I paid for that lead, so why wouldn't I respond to it? So I don't know. I don't get being non-responsive. I think that says a lot, right? When I get the best is when you get the call or when you call the lead or whatever, and they say, "Holy smokes, that was quick." I love that. I love that reaction, right? Because it just shows me hey, I'm doing good at what I do, right?
It's interesting because I really, really value that timeline between when something comes into our inbox and when they get replied to.
Yeah.
And if it's more than an hour, I'll apologize. Mm-hmm. I'll say, hey, really sorry for the delay. Was just in a few appointments. Would love to chat with you this afternoon. When's a good time? Yeah. And they'll reply being wow, that was quick.
Yeah, exactly.
And my first response was, I apologize.
Yeah. I had a couple just before coming on the podcast, and I said, hey, I'm busy at this time for the rest of the evening kind of thing, but when's a good time for you tomorrow? But it was done within 5 minutes kind of thing, right? I'll make it happen, right?
It's a really interesting thing that most new people in our industry don't understand is you set the tone with that reply, right? If they email you at 4 p.m., you reply at 4:30 saying, hey, what's a great time to call you tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon, whatever. You tell them what time you're gonna call them, right? So look at your calendar for tomorrow.
Yeah.
If
You have an
you're
opening.
in
Yeah.
appointments from 9 till 1:30, say, what's a good time late afternoon tomorrow to call you?
Yeah, from 1:30 to 5 or whatever,
Yeah.
right? You know, like, yeah.
You set the tone versus just replying, be like, hey, when is a good time? And they'd be like, I'm free now. You're like, well, I'm
You
not
have this
free now.
back and forth,
right?
yeah.
It's too much. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that first reply is so important. It's so interesting. Like happens all the time where you get an email on whatever, 1 p.m. on Friday and you have a pretty busy afternoon and then you're like going out with your buddy for a beer and you don't really want to call someone at 7 p.m. on a Friday.
Sure.
Just be like, what time are you free this weekend? I can call you tomorrow morning. I can connect. Do you want to Zoom? Do you want to meet for a coffee? What works for you tomorrow morning? Then they reply tomorrow, like they'll tell you what tomorrow morning works. Versus the back and forth and back and forth. And then you're almost like making a job for yourself to check your email later that day, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, how's your ankle these days?
Ankle's honestly ready to golf.
Yeah.
That's what it's ready for. As long as I pass my COVID test, took a COVID test about, what time is it, Carl? 7:30?
You look like someone that doesn't have COVID, but who knows these days?
I
Yeah, you
feel
never
like
know.
$1 million. And if I get COVID,
Yeah. Gosh.
I'm taking another test.
False positive.
Yeah. It's rough, eh? I don't know. Yeah.
Ankle's
I
great.
want to go away. Definitely.
Running in the dark, though, is dangerous as fuck.
I do it at least twice a week.
You got a stupid headlamp, though.
You just get a headlamp.
No, I don't.
Problem solved.
I
Dude,
don't use my
come on.
headlamp.
Get a cool black diamond one. And
If I
Yeah, I
get a
have a black diamond,
headlamp,
but
all I can think of is what's his name in Zoolander? Going into the black mine. I got the black lung pop. That guy? You know. What's his name? What's the actor's name? Ben Stiller.
Yeah, Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember he wore that?
Oh, yeah.
Went into the cave?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone. Come on.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I don't know. I'll run. It depends, nature of the beast, nature of the job, right? So I'll run as late as 10:30 p.m. sometimes.
I met
really
you
depends on-
4 years ago, I think.
Yeah. Well, radio said I was getting in the business. I was looking for some guidance.
How much weight have you lost since then?
Quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, no
Well,
shit.
no, well, yeah, okay, don't make me out to be like
So
I was
random.
like I was like super obese.
No,
or
no, no,
something.
no.
I wasn't.
Hold on.
I've never been obese.
I was not
Before you
expecting
speak
that.
again,
Sure.
let me classify.
Yeah.
Eli used to be into like powerlifting,
Yeah.
so he was
Yeah.
jacked,
Thank you. Yeah.
thick,
Not
like
that's bad to be obese, but
very, very muscular.
yeah.
Not fat in any way.
Yeah.
Very in shape, just different in shape than like a runner shape.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm a runner now.
but he was jacked. He used to do powerlifting.
Thanks, buddy.
Anyway, but now you're running like 7, 8, 9K a day, it seems like.
Yeah, it depends what I'm running about 50K a week.
For any purpose?
No, just to be mentally tough and in shape.
Are you like trying to David Goggins it or what?
Like he's definitely someone I look up to. Like I
Wake
think
up in the
that's-
morning, slap your face, be like,
Nah, I'm
You
not.
bitch.
I'm not feeling extreme. Like I try not to be extreme in any manner, but like I don't know. I definitely idolize it, like that kind of mindset. I believe our society is way too soft. Let's put it out that way. So I believe in like,
understatement.
yeah. So I believe in being mentally strong, less excuses, solution focused. How can I make it a challenge? How can you, how can I be the best? Daddy.
Okay.
Back to it.
I don't disagree with the
No,
thought
no.
process.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with the
Yeah.
mindset. All that happens in my head is how do I get better?
Yeah, better.
Because I think
Better
the
versus
idea of best is
no. Yeah, you're
is
right.
not
It's not about being
fathomable.
best. No, it's more better. I like that word much better. So yeah, it's not. Like someone like Goggins, I really like idolize in many ways. Like guy is just an absolute beast. But again, it comes back to his environment, how he grew up. Like I've read his book and stuff like that. Very impressive individual, of course. But so there's portion of that I strive for, right? Like I want to basically I have this kind of mindset. I want to outwork you, right? I want to crush you to some degree. Not any disrespect, but while you're sleeping, I'm running. While you're sleeping, I'm working. Right. That's kind of my mentality, right? You made 10 calls, I will make more, right? Not that it's a competition. Like that's not what I'm trying to get at and have that kind of attitude. It's just about, I don't know, just having a standard for yourself, right? So to get back to where you're like talking about, so I did definitely lose weight. So I was doing more like, bodybuilding, powerlifting. Cause I guess, when I played hockey, I was pretty muscular, but more like obviously more of a cardiovascular sport. Like, athletic, call it that. And then, I went into kind of probably like a bit of a bodybuilding, powerlifting phase, and then kind of got out of that. It was kind of old. I tried to test my strength kind of component of like how strong I could be from a natural point of view. So, I got up to some good numbers, and then that wasn't really did it for me anymore. And then, now I'm just like the cardio, like the run, like the cycle, like to go in the mountains. Goals?
With cardio?
With cardio?
It's interesting because people ask me this. So, 2017, I got into real estate 2014. 2014, 15, 16, I worked 16 to 18 hours a day for 4 years. Yeah. I did not give a fuck about my physical fitness.
Yeah, I was kind of there
and I ate
a
shit,
bit of a point.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I ate as cheap as possible because I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So I ate Mr. Noodles and Kraft Dinner, and like I ordered the $5 pizza from Domino's. Like, that was what it was. That was what it was for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like 230 pounds. And I felt like crap. And then, so 2017 was like the first year that I thought, I'm going to try to balance slightly better. And it was slightly better for a year. Then 2018, then 2019, I told myself I was going to work out every day for a year.
Yeah, it's impressive.
And so I did it.
I'm doing that right now. That's one of my goals, actually.
Like it.
Yeah. I'm on a day like 120 right now in a row.
I like it.
I just want to do it 365, but I don't know. Another guy I actually look up to is Cameron Haynes. I don't know him.
Yeah, 100%.
Freaking love that guy. But
Joe Rogan's hunting buddy.
Yeah, he's the bow hunter. Right?
I don't need to, he's the bow hunter. He's freaking, what a beast. I just love his mentality, his attitude. I like, you don't have to be that. That's not the point. But I respect the shit out of it. Like, just like, and then speaking of like the, when you're struggling with a weight there for like a shorter amount of time, like obviously look great now, and you're in shape, but like, I've read a lot of books, and I like to read, I consume a lot of like podcasts and all that, but, that growth mindset. So like one book I really like is probably my favorite book of all time because it has many components to like just overall life. You can single it to like your business, but it could become, there's components of it like it was like being a good father, right? And husband. And so basically the book is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a pretty popular book, I think. And Stephen Covey, great book. And he talks about in his book about the 4 quadrants of life. 4 quadrants. I'm going to go by memory here. Things that are very important, things that are important, crisis, and time wasters. It's something like that. It's so most people, why they can't succeed in life is because they waste a lot of time. So they live in quadrant 4, right? And then crisis, I think, is quadrant 1. So they either let life happen to them where it's either a crisis or a time waster. They spend their time in those 2 quadrants, right? So they let their health become a crisis. Doctor tells you, hey, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Right? Or they waste all their time. They can't figure out why they're broke as fuck, basically, right? So maybe it's because you waste a shit ton of time.
Yeah. Play video games,
right?
14 hours a day.
So I'm not saying like how you should live your life. That's not my point. But like if you want to have some sort of standard again, right? So basically the conclusion is kind of like you want to be really like quadrant 2 focused, where things are very important. So for me, my marriage is very important. Being a father is very important. My business, of course, is very important. Being somebody in society, in my community, a good person is important. My character, my way of being, so to speak. Just someone of integrity, right? My health is very important, of course, right? Mental and physical, right? So there's not one that's greater than the other is the point. So some people they're very successful in their career, their business, but then they sacrifice their marriage, they sacrifice their relationship with their kids, and they find out, when they got all the money in the world, and then they get to, their kids are 20 years old, not kids anymore, they're men or women, right? Whatever, right? And they're like, holy smokes, I don't have a relationship with my own child, right? So I never want to that's a crisis, right? That's a crisis. You don't have a relationship with your kid, right? Your own child, right? So I never want to let anything become a crisis situation, and I think that's a point of being self-aware of things, right? So can you in a short amount of time have to make some sacrifice? So right now, like I say, kind of complained a little bit about like, oh, my business is in an ultra growth stage and I'm like so swamped in it and I'm working 12 hours a day kind of thing. Yeah. Well, that won't be forever. It can be forever. I choose it to be forever, but it doesn't have to be forever, right? So I'm investing accordingly. So it doesn't have to be forever, right? Not that I love what I do. I could literally grind for another 50 years. Like if time was unlimited, I could just like literally grind forever. Like that's how much I love what I do, right? So, but I know I'll be divorced. Yeah. I'll be divorced, not a dad, right? Probably overweight, whatever, right? So the key is just, I don't like the word balance so much, but like just, being self-aware of that, right?
Work-life balance is such an interesting conversation.
It doesn't even totally exist. Obviously, it's not really true.
It doesn't exist, but it's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's no standard.
No.
There's no ideal metric.
No.
It is completely different for every human being. And I think it's an evolving schedule of what you're basing your time off of. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was extremely important to set myself up over the first 5 years of this career.
Yeah.
To get to a point 100%. Where I could even consider the thought of balancing.
Yeah.
Right?
You gotta
so
make
the
some
word
sacrifice.
balance to me in the first 5 years was hilarious.
Yeah,
Someone said balance, I was like, you can go fuck yourself.
No, dude, I 100% agree.
It's like, I have no interest in even talking about that because I'm so consumed with doing this, right?
But the key is communication as well. So like my wife and I have a great marriage. We've been married since 2014. So that's, I guess we're in 2021, right?
7.
So yeah, we just had our 7-year anniversary in May. So I guess we're going to year 8. We got 2 young kids under 2, right? The key is communication though. She knows it's not forever. I've communicated that with her and say, hey, like, it will get better, right? So the thing you were talking about like the first 5 years in the business kind of thing. I totally 100% agree with that. If you want to be great or challenge, to be the top, so to speak, there's going to have to be some short-term sacrifice. So how long is that sacrifice? That's the question, right? So that's another book I really like is The Compound Effect. Fantastic book. And he talks about in his book where Darren Hardy, I think, is the author, if I remember. And he talks about basically how you got to start, right? It's an action. It's an attitude. It's an action. It's a behavior. And the best way to move forward is you have to compound that effect. So, for example, just like my door knocking, for example, every door I door knock is leading me more to that direction. So it's like putting the snowball effect or lifting the pushing the rock up the hill kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
You have momentum, right? So you'll get more momentum as you do that. So then, I don't know, like I'm starting to see in my business where I'm getting a few more potential referral or, we're hosting our first client event in a few weeks, right? So like, these things are happening, right? Hiring an assistant, right? So, but that didn't happen from day one, right? Like it's from all the result of the things I've done in the last 3 years, right? But most people can't see, they can only see what's in front of them or like, gosh, you gotta be thinking like, way further than that. Like, don't make decisions today based off, what's comfortable for you. Because if you do that, holy smokes. What's the saying go? I can't remember who said it, but something of the fact of like, if you like it kind of like comfortable, like, what's it like a tough life? I don't know, maybe you can help me out now. Like, something like, let me think about it. Easy life or like easy decisions, easy life, tough decisions, like effort, so to speak. I'm totally butchering it, but like, easy life kind of thing, right? So you got to make some sacrifice so yeah, maybe I've done things like just simply 3, I'm kind of rambling here, but like 3 years of like real estate for me feels like, and you could probably attribute to this. Like, I feel like I've been in the business for like 20 years. Right? I don't know. Like, but that is the compound effect, right? I have pushed so much in 3 years, right? That, whoa, like wait another 2 years. Like the results are not even here yet. Like, like they're like in the distance. And I'm not even focused on that. But it's like, you got to start.
Our business,
right? You got to start and you just move forward, right? And just
can I help you out with your quote for a second here?
Sure, yeah.
So it was hard choices equals an easy life.
Yeah.
Easy choices is a hard life.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it. Yeah, basically that. I don't know who do you know who said that?
Jersey Gregorek.
Okay, I don't know. But that is pretty much breaks it down, yeah. Say again, sorry, Carl?
So it just says hard choices, easy life.
Hard
easy
choices,
hard life.
Hard choices, easy life.
Yeah.
Easy choices, hard
Easy
life.
choices, hard life. Yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking for. But did I kind of get it?
You were right there.
Yeah, I was kind of there, but
You weren't even fucking close.
fuck you, Denny.
Our business is so strange, but also it probably relates to so many businesses that if you spend a shit ton of hours early in your career. So my thought getting into this business was I need to work my ass off for 5 years to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I can reassess.
Correct.
When I reassessed, I saw, me and Jamie were doing a lot of transactions and we saw this opportunity to bring other people onto our team. And then it came into this thought process of I can help other people and teach other people to do what we've done really well.
Mm-hmm.
Then 5 years from now, it gets to this process where I can teach people that are doing things really well to teach other people to do things really well.
Yeah.
Then what?
Mm-hmm.
Then I've removed myself from the business.
Yeah.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Now I'm not involved in real estate sales anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I own this business, but I'm not involved anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What have I done? Freed up a shit ton of time.
Yeah. Well,
to do other
you've
things.
populated yourself or duplicated yourself or
it's such a
cloned
great
yourself.
Insecurity in our business, right?
Yeah.
So many people are so consumed
They're scared
with
to spend money kind of thing,
But
I get excited when I spend money. Like I'm not a reckless person, but like.
But so many people get very scared in, obviously we deal with a lot of mortgage brokers and it's very similar in their business. They get scared of delegating.
Yeah.
If I give, hand off or share a consumer, a lead, a buyer, a seller, whatever, with a partner on my team, with another realtor on my team, another mortgage broker on my team, whatever industry, if they feel like they're giving something away and losing the opportunity for future business and referrals versus I see it very differently. I see it that we're building this culture.
Yeah.
We're building this monster.
Yeah.
That
gets me excited too.
It started like a marble. It started small. It was Denny, the most naive kid of all time, when he was 24 years old.
Yeah.
Had no fucking idea what he was doing. No clue.
But the thing, the decision you made, conscious, proactive decisions that's led you here today, right? We have to say that, we're blessed in many ways. I'm very grateful for everything I have, right? Some people are not as fortunate, of course, but we all have decisions that we can make, and, you made those decisions, right? Now, if you were someone that was born in some other part of the world, of course, maybe not the same opportunity and decisions, right? So I'm very aware of that. But, kudos to you to, recognizing that and being self-aware, right? Not making excuses, making a conscious, decision to move forward, right?
There's challenges in any opportunity, right?
Yeah.
An opportunity comes and there's risk involved.
Of course.
For me, it was the risk of not having any money and getting into industry. I knew
no clue where your next
about.
paycheck's coming.
I knew nothing about.
Yeah.
And just assuming it was going to work out because I knew my only variable that I could trust and could rely on was I knew I could work harder than other people. Yeah. That's all.
Pretty much same here.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I can't compare, I even avoid the thought of comparing myself to other, you mentioned being born in another country, being a different race, being a different gender, being whatever. I avoid the thought because I just can't even comprehend what that would look like.
Yeah.
I just have to focus on This is who I am. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
How do I get better?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Speaking to another point, comparing yourself to others, that's what I think you were talking about too. Like, why would it make sense for me to compare our team to your team? You guys are like way ahead of us, right? I'm not saying one day we could be equals.
Though?
Yeah, exactly. But one day we could be complete equals where you do 200, I do 200. Sure, that's totally possible, right? But why would I compare myself to you, right? Why would I compare myself to someone that's like 20 years in the business or why would I compare myself to like, any like successful investor or something like Warren Buffett? Like guys like 80 something years old, 85 or whatever. Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? Like, why would I compare myself to like Dave Valley, who's been selling real estate for 30 years?
I think,
right? Like,
be open-minded to listening to what those people, whether it's in your industry or not, Warren Buffett, different industry, like Ty Corsi, our industry.
Yeah.
Be open-minded to listening to what they've done well, what they've,
of course,
what mistakes they've made, how they've learned.
Yeah,
be open-minded to that.
Of course.
Comparing is a losing
Fool's
formula
game.
for everyone.
Fool's game. Yeah, exactly.
Because his personality, like say Ty Corsi, his personality is very different than mine.
Yeah.
What he does is not going to work for me.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I can't
Why would you try to duplicate
replicate what he does because he's different.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The way he like runs a business, the way he works day to day is just different.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But he has some phenomenal qualities.
Of course.
That you can look at and be like,
one, he's a hustler.
dude, he works his ass off 100%.
I have so much respect for that. Like, like people like that, like it's just grinders. Like, how can you disrespect that?
The main thing that I think Ty Corsi is winning at is consistency.
Yeah.
That guy is so fucking consistent
He's
with
amazing.
everything that he does.
Yeah.
He still does mail outs every Monday morning.
Mail out Mondays.
And in my head, he posts a story every Monday morning, be like, mail out Mondays. And in my head, I'm like, man, you're just throwing money away. I hate it. I hate it. I hate everything about this.
Yeah.
And every time Jamie emails me being like, hey, we should do a flyer. And literally my reply is, fuck no. Every time. Because I hate throwing money away for no.
Yeah.
I think anyway.
I like spending money.
It's 2021,
but
it's not 2014 anymore. 2013, 2014, 2009, mail outs worked.
Yeah.
They don't work anymore, bro. They don't work.
We've really, we're definitely doing the online thing, but what was I going to say? There's some point I wanted to make there. Can't remember, man.
I think it means we're getting to the end of the evening.
Yeah.
We'll do it again.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
You got to get home.
Good time.
Hang out with the kids.
7:30.
It's 2 hours.
They're asleep.
No, the youngest will be asleep.
How old are they?
8 months. Son Connor. He'll be asleep. Just started sleep training him like about 2 months now.
When does he start running with you?
Yeah, great question. I want my sons to be savages, but not all.
You got two boys?
Yeah, 2 boys. Yeah. And my Silas is my oldest. He's almost 2 in December. So
that age is so, man.
It's a lot of work.
So I have 15 nieces and nephews. I don't have any kids, but the age of like 1.5 to probably like 4 to 5 is hilarious.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
As a uncle, it's very, very entertaining to be around.
Yeah.
Because they're like kind of getting personalities, but they're still dependent on you. So they want to be around you and they start talking a lot and saying ridiculous shit. Yeah. But then when they get to like 6, 7, 8, they start being like independent and they're like, I don't want to hang out with you. You're too old and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that age of like whatever, 2 to 4 or 1.5 to 5.
Well, my oldest is starting to talk a little bit. Like his new favorite word is wow. It's because my wife says it all the time. But yeah, shout out to my wife because like she's a stay-at-home mom right now. But hardest job ever. But that's where we balance each other well because whatever I've quote me, like it's not just me, but like that's the point is that whatever I've been successful with, it's not just me, it's her, right, as well. So like we're a pair, right? We started together, right? We started from ground zero and we have a commitment to, our kids obviously. And my job's to grow the wealth, her job is to, look after her kids and, I'm going to be a dad, of course. And I'm not saying that, but just, she's doing the brunt of it right now. I'll say that. Like I'm well slept, right? You know, for the most part. You know, the odd night you just get immune to it, kind of thing. But you know, I'm not really the one that's been waking up in the middle of the night for the last 2 years and stuff like that. And it's very appreciated but we had those conversations, and maybe that's another thing. You know, it's just being on the same page with your spouse or business partner, whoever. It's very important because there shouldn't be any kind of unknowns, right? Like when we had decided to have children, and it was very much communicated how it was going to be. There's no guesses, you know, there's no question marks. And you know, you evolve, of course, right? You know, things might be, I'm noticing like she's struggling maybe with some certain things. I've thought about like, you know, hiring a cleaner kind of thing for our house kind of thing, you know, and help out, of course, right? But yeah, we're a duo with 2 more. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to put any like major expectation on my kids other than just I want them to be happy and strive for what they want in life. And it's pretty new to me.
They better be the best.
Being a dad.
All you've been talking about for the last 2 hours is being the best.
Yeah.
So Silas, better as fuck be the best.
Yeah, no, it's not that.
I'm kidding, man.
No, I know. But just like, yeah, I know. I'm maybe I come off as kind of like strong personality. Like I'm definitely a type A, like, you know, but it's not about that. It's just more just, you know, I don't know. I'm not a military style guy, but like I kind of old school in a little bit of way, you know. Same with my wife. Like we're actually pretty old school, right? You know, like the role, quote unquote, roles in today's society kind of thing. Like she's the mom, she's a great mother, you know, and she looks after the kids. Like I don't see any problem with that, right? You know,
I've never had a kid, so I can't speak from experience.
It's hard, man. You know, like
you can tell me if I'm wrong, but looking at my experience, looking back, being a kid, growing up, being a teenager, and now an adult, I think the most important thing for me was realizing who I am and just focusing on that.
Yeah.
Not trying to please other people, just realizing this is who I am. This is what I do.
Yeah.
I am not going to be, I tried the corporate thing.
Yeah.
I
thought I was going there.
Hated my life every day.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Wasn't me. Yeah, either. Yeah. Yeah.
So like if I have ever a kid, literally all I'm going to preach to them is like, figure out what you like and do
100%.
it as much as you want.
Do it to the best.
Totally. Just get better every day.
That's the word of the night. But no, I think that's where, you know, I agree with you. That's, you know, you're not far off at all, but that's what I'm wanting for my kids is one, just to be happy. And then, you know, I think happiness comes from inside out versus outside in. That's another Stephen Covey context there. I really believe in that. I know who I am. You seem like a guy that knows who you are, right? And that comes from within. I don't make decisions based off what other people say. Like you can't convince me, you know, no offense, but like I'd listen to you, respect your opinion, but I'm not going to be, you know, pushed in any sort of direction if it's not comfortable, right? You know,
the cool thing is though, understanding who I am today, but also being very open-minded to that it's going to evolve
100%.
Every year, right?
I'm way different than I was even at 30 to 25, not the same human, you know, in many ways. Like, you know, in some ways very similar, like, you know, from like the core of my being, I'm very much the same, like the way I run my business and stuff. Like I believe in, you know, being a good human, number one, right? You know, so what is being a good human? Well, you know, I guess you can define that for yourself, but, you know, and that's when we're, you know, again, going back to my kids, is just like teaching that, like being a good human being is number one. And then, you know, you're going to be happy if you make choices, not selfishly for yourself, but saying too many ums, trying to get my thoughts together, but just you will be happy with who you are as a human if you do the right things more than you do not, right? You know, so just I will encourage that behavior if they want whatever they want to do. I will encourage, right? And not try to mold them anyway. Have structure and rules, but also certain structure is not important as well in many ways, where you can get that growth, right? You know, not protect them, not be overbearing, right? So
one word I'll never ever use with my kids is protocol.
protocol.
No such thing as protocol.
Yeah.
If someone says the word protocol to you, do the opposite. Do
Yeah.
whatever the opposite is.
Yeah.
Do the opposite.
No, I don't want, like
Whoever
it's
says
putting in a
protocol,
box,
fuck
like,
you.
yeah. Yeah.
Fuck you.
Like even this assistant we're going to hire, for example, for our business, the interview we did with her, we told her the role is unlimited. You can choose if you want to grow out of the position, right? I don't believe in putting people in a box, right? And she has real estate experience, and she was working with another team, and she's moving on to better direction. And the key is like, we're not trying to keep her in a box, just she can decide. If she wants to become a realtor, I will support her in that. If she wants to, have some more incentivized kind of, program, and she can choose that, right? So, again, same back with my kids, like just they choose, right? It's their life, right? I'm definitely going to teach them financial literacy.
Of course.
But they might not give a shit too, right? But like, I believe that's so messed up when it comes to like where we taught in schools and stuff. Oh my gosh, so. But my kids will know financial literacy. What they choose to do with it is up to them.
Totally.
But man, some of the trash out there, I just don't get it. I really don't. But anyway, that's just the world we live in.
Long overdue convo, man.
Yeah.
Let's do it again in 2022.
Absolutely. Totally looking forward. I'll have 100+ deals in 2022.
Yes. Love it.
120. Let's go with that number. Team of 4? We should be able to do that, right? It depends on the market, obviously, too. Part of
Go
that.
to 200.
200?
I stopped there.
What you said earlier.
Sky's the limit.
It's just a numbers game, man.
Yeah.
Just knock on more doors.
Yeah.
You did 30,000, do 60.
Well, we're not knocking doors anymore, but I know. I don't know. I like it. Like, it's just kind of joking about that. We were having a team meeting there. I think was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. And I don't know. Like, I might not even be selling real estate in 10 years, but I just love it because I would legit, like, just as my kids get older, kind of thing. I would be like, boys, we're gonna go knock some doors today. I'm not even selling real estate anymore, but legit, or hey, we're gonna make calls today. Like, I think that stuff is good for you, right? Like just getting out of your comfort zone, right? Like
Dealing
like
with
the first time I ever knocked on a door,
too.
like holy smokes. I remember the first time Josh and I knocked on a door. We saw a dead crow or a dead raven. We're like,
good sign.
on the road. Yeah. We're like, and it was
boy.
freezing cold. It was like February. And I was like, man, I don't know. Like, is that a bad omen? Are we going to get shot today? Like, but I haven't spoken about my partner too much. You've spoken about Jamie a little bit, but Josh is because you were asking earlier about kind of what do you look for in people you hire or whatever, right? So similar to this, like when our partnership, we prospected for a year without being a team, right? And that's when I needed my equal, right? That was really important. And hopefully Josh was looking for the same thing as an equal, right? And can't speak for him, of course, but I think he thinks the same way. But I need somebody that was accountable and showed up, and he showed up, right? And he's a guy that man of character and good dad, good husband, and I trust him 100%, right? So that's what you need in a partner, and I'm sure you got the same with Jamie, right? Just like I know if like I was legit on my deathbed, he would look after my family, kind of shit, right? So we have that, and no, he's a great guy and great business partner, and yeah. Shout out to Josh. He's a good guy.
It's only getting better.
You've had a few interactions with Josh, right? I don't know. You probably don't know.
I think I've only met him maybe twice.
Okay. Yeah.
Talked to him on the phone a couple times. I think I've seen him at 2 listings of your guys, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know him very well though.
Last deal we did with your team was Lucas. Lucas did it for a detached house we had in Willow Acres. It's when the market was like kind of not softening. It hasn't softened, but it was kind of maybe a bit of a pause there.
Totally.
So
In the
the
summer,
buyers got a good deal for sure. It's definitely like an original home, small lot in Poco. And yeah, we got it together. It was a great deal. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy. It's a great deal.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, man. Great
Do
time.
it again soon.
Thanks, Carl. Yeah, great time.